on, everybody? Welcome back to the Project Manga Podcast, where we cover One Piece, My Hero, Black Clover, Mashle, Dr. Stone, and Jujutsu Kaisen week to week. Back this week covering Weekly Shonen Jump, issue number 52. I'm your host, Eagle.
Nox.
And I'm Mellow Yenis.
And as always, before we get started, we would ask that you take a look in that description box down below, where you can find links to any and all of our individual social media accounts, such as Twitter, online communities like Discord, audio listening platforms, whichever you prefer. Link, will allow you to find us there, as well as ways to support the podcast, as such as our online store or our Patreon. So,
yes. And
also while you're down there, like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Fire as weekly content. Of course. Also, for those of you who don't know, just one more kind of brief thing. If you didn't watch the 3K kind of announcement stream, sorry. This will be the last episode of coverage for Black Clover and Mashle before we replace them with Ayashimon and Mission Yozakura family going into season 4 of the Project Manga Podcast. So, we will definitely try our absolute best to give you the greatest discussion we possibly can tonight on those two fronts. And we appreciate you, bearing with us, going through the changes, of the brand here and what we want to cover and what we feel is giving you the best service for us to talk about. So,
hell yeah.
With all those words said, Fire Week and Jump, no JJK, disappointing.
No yeah. Wish we had it for the finale, but hey.
Yeah. But Gay finished Snap coming back in.
Yes.
You already know.
Always. When is the wind up?
When is the next chapter coming here of Jujutsu Kaisen? I didn't even look.
Issue number 1. I think it's just a week.
And it tells you kind of how many days. Is it just 1 week out from now? Oh, yep, 5 days. So we'll get another JJK chapter here in the next week. So yeah, we back in here. Gay don't take breaks for too long.
Right.
All right. Well, with that said, we might as well get right into it. First chapter of the night here, chapter 220 of Dr. Stone. A Desire for All. And we get this nice cover of Ryu Sui. Sets the tone going into the chapter. He's pretty much the forefront of this entire chapter, I would say. Just him and the real serious approach he's taken to this pilot role he's been given, and his training for it, as far as the stamina training and the marksman training, the gunfights. He's Kohaku and Senku are kind of botching their shots on the little things. I'm kind of jumping around the chapter here, but Ryusui was really snapping this chapter, and the way he just clean as fuck, hit all 3 of them while they were fucking swaying like that. I was like, damn, Ryusui's a nice shot. I didn't expect that.
Oh yeah, for page 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a good chapter for just the progression of the plot continuing to prepare for the Y-Man mission. And I love, that Ryusui just has this dead serious, almost ominous kind of vibe to his character throughout the chapter, because it's building towards something. I personally had no idea why he was this serious the entire chapter, so the end came as a total surprise to me, and I thought it was a really cool fucking twist in the storytelling for this chapter, because I'm man, why is Ryusui going so hard, not being himself? This is not the same kind of playful, wild, bombastic Ryusui. 15? Yeah, all of this. Eyes? Yeah, there were multiple points in the chapter where I'm Ryusui, is on his shit right now, but this is still kind of different for his character and how serious he's being about this. So I knew it was leading into something. I just didn't have any idea what it could possibly be. And and then we get the info I'm not the one for this. As tight as I am, doing all of these training exercises, I'm still not the one. And I'm oh shit.
Bro, the page turn on the last panel.
Yeah, I was
legit. I had no idea who he was talking about. I'm who is he talking about? Who is chilling in this cave right now?
Yeah.
And with that page turn to Stanley.
Yeah, I was
the
oh my
guy
God.
Stanley. I'm
oh. I was holy shit, this makes so much sense, and I completely forgot he was still petrified this entire time.
And my first reaction to it, on my reaction stream, shouts out Project Manga Twitch, follow if you haven't. I was yo, this is what is he doing? He can't revive Stanley. But then I was yo,
Yeah, they're totally cool now.
If you wake Stanley up right now and like
And tell
he
him
might
Xeno's
he
on
could
his
he
side.
could come out of the statue like trying to gouge your eyes out and shit. But if you wake Stanley up right now, and you're like, yo, we're working with Zeno, Senku and him are chilling. We're building this rocket. We're going up to the moon to fight the actual like Y-Man threat that's petrifying all of us over and over again.
Yeah.
Stanley would be like, oh shit, all right, bet. Then we're on this mission.
Especially if you just like pull up with the iPad, you know what I'm saying, and just like show them like Xeno or whatever, however they're communicating. Like, come over here, your boy's over here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, hey, Stanley, come down here. I need to talk to you. He'd be like, oh, Zeno, shit, okay. Yeah. They didn't kill you or imprison you.
Yeah.
So this is one of the reasons why I like Ryushi so much, is that despite how greedy he is and how ambitious he is to like live a life to the fullest, like at page 6, you notice he's like looking up at like, you know, they wouldn't be flying so dangerously low if they didn't intend to attack up in front of the sun. And that's when he thinks about the time they had the dog fight with Stanley Snyder. And he has that moment of realization. He's like, I'm not the best choice.
Yeah.
And that rattles him.
Yeah.
And like, and then
flashbacks.
when they get to like page 14, when he's doing the thing and he looks cold as hell on page 15, he's like, yeah, I aced that. Yeah. And compared to the others, I'm good.
Right.
But I'm really not the best, and this team needs the best.
Yes.
And so I really like that thing. And something I didn't notice until like this review is that on page 18-19, with the big reveal of Stanley Snyder, you can see the branches you saw in the first page with the title. With
he's looking at Stanley on the cover.
He's looking at Stanley in the cover, and at first I didn't notice because like his expression is because like in the first page he looks optimistic, like he's like, you know, he's pleased with something, he's accepting something, whereas on the opposite end of the spectrum, his look, him gazing at Stanley's like confident, petrified face, he seems melancholic.
Right.
And that is when I love Ryusu the best.
Yeah, this
is not bravado.
This shit is like the spot that you just like provided right now is so drastic, because obviously the end spread where he's actually looking at the statue of Stanley, he has a completely different expression on his face than the beginning of the chapter on the cover, but I'm assuming that the cover image of Ryusui is after this scene at the end of the chapter, because he walks up like, Stanley, huh? You know what I mean? At the end of the chapter, but then on the cover, he's like, yeah, Stanley. You know what I mean? Like he's accepted it, like he knows that it's the right move, you know what I mean? So this is just like two different points in time in the exact same scene. Like the cover is realization and acceptance, and then, you know, the end of the chapter is like, oh shit, it's you. Yeah. Dude, that's fucking incredible, bro.
I love that.
Why is my boy stanced up like, you know what I'm saying, like Cuddy the hunter, you know what I'm saying?
Wait, where at?
On the last page, Stanley.
Yeah, because he was smoking a cigarette when the
Sanji.
Yeah, he was smoking a cigarette when the beam went off or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
that's funny.
Yeah, like that was like his last moment. He's like, smoke him if you got him.
I remember smoking the cigarette, but it gave me Sanji vibes too. The way he was standing there, the way his hand is positioned, really more than anything.
Yes,
reminded me of when Sanji pulled up on Jabra.
Yes, absolutely.
Like the hunter.
Yeah,
but I love that they used. Like put Stanley behind a waterfall in a cave from the first major arc. And I'm like, cool, they're utilizing everything. And I appreciate that like Stanley might get to shine, because beyond Xeno, his camp hasn't had a lot of characters that have actually shined beyond him.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Stanley.
Yeah, it was always about like Stanley and Xeno. And like what you just brought up right now in regard to Ryusui's kind of like demeanor going into or coming out of that panel on page 6 where he sees, you know, the plane in front of the sun or whatever, it says a lot about like how Ryusui kind of processed that arc, right? Because it's like everybody died that arc, you know what I mean? But the only one that's thinking about Stanley is Ryusui, and that is probably a combination because like Stanley has like a similar skill set to Ryusui. That's probably like the majority of it. But also like it could be saying that Ryusui was probably the most traumatized from that arc and the conclusion of it when everybody like was
by
ready.
He
being
probably
handled?
realized a lot of
Yeah.
his shortcomings,
Right.
looking at Stanley,
Yeah.
doing his thing.
Yeah, the fact that he's the
Um,
only one that's even been thinking about Stanley throughout this entire thing, like it makes sense for Senku and the rest of the team to only think about Ryusui in this situation because he is the captain character. He is the one that fills in this role perfectly. So like why would they think about Stanley at all, even, in like an offhanded like internal monologue panel or something like that? Because obviously you want to build that up for the for the reveal at the end of the chapter inside of Ryusui's character. But like still, like even though that falls into place beautifully in the narrative, it's just like, man, it's like Ryusui really was the only one that had this on his mind throughout this entire montage, throughout this chapter. And it spoke to me, I guess, like in this moment during our review when you brought up, him and his the cover page and in relation to the end page. I was just like, man, like how did he really feel about that arc, bro? Like how did he really feel about dying and getting raided?
Me of athletes.
What is it?
It reminded me of like some of my friends who are athletes and them talking about their experiences of like, yeah, no, where I'm from, I'm the best. But like when you come up against people that are just straight up better than you at what exactly you do and then some, it's an extremely humbling and anguishing experience. And so like it's like Ryusei's like, I have to have a hard, honest conversation with myself. Am I really the best choice?
Yeah.
This is for the fate of humanity, right? Like this is not something that I'm gonna like chance on ego.
Yeah, it's not about my desire no more. This is the fate of the fucking world, bro. Like I can't just be Ryusui about it. Like I have to think practically.
Yeah, it's his desire for everybody, for all, and so he might have to set himself aside to maintain that desire to protect everyone.
Dude.
And it's like that's a hard ask for anyone to do.
For sure.
Yeah. If Ryusui is making up for Senku and Kohaku, shit, Stanley's a squad of 5 or 6 by himself, man.
Swear to God.
Dude, Stanley was one-man army for a long time.
Yeah.
Think of the dynamic too, like that would kind of instill in that squad.
Yeah.
Like Stanley killed Kohaku.
Yeah.
And Senku basically with the sniper shot.
Right.
So just like the dynamic between the three of them would be something that would be really cool to experience. Like,
there's definitely going to be like amazing character writing going into the addition of Stanley to the astronaut team. But like it's going to probably just be cut off like right at the point where they're like, this dude was a soldier. He was acting, under orders of his captain or his leader inside of Zeno. He's not actually a piece of shit. Zeno was just using him as a shitty instrument, essentially. You know what I mean? I bet you Stanley's gonna be cool as fuck coming out of this petrification, especially after talking to Zeno real quick. I feel like it's gonna feel so good, like once they actually go up into the ship and they're actually a team. I could totally see like them landing on the moon, then Stanley just taking action, like, all right, you guys go over here, I'm gonna be over here. This is like the tactical positioning that we need for whatever the fuck kind of situation we found ourselves in. And then Senku's gonna play off that based on the leading of Stanley on the physical side of things. Kohaku, will be there to listen to Senku and Stanley. It's just gonna be like such a tight unit because of Stanley's leadership on the moon. And I can already see the scenes, you know what I mean?
I agree. And Stanley really is the best person that they could get to kind of polish and refine Senku and Kohaku's like marksmanship skills.
Sure.
Yeah. He can definitely like give them, kind of tips and pointers on how to shoot, like breathing and there's
because Ryusui's good on his own. He's just naturally talented. Like you could give him literally anything and he'll probably become show a prodigious talent inside of that. But can he actually tell someone else?
In the military.
Yeah, exactly.
Stripes. He'll be able to direct them on.
He'll actually be able to train them up, and I think that's more important than having people like, oh, I have a talent, so I'm gonna take on all the responsibility around this thing. Right. Whereas having someone like Stanley who is trained and has probably been a trainer for the other soldiers that were under Zeno's employ. Like having him be able to shore up the weaknesses of Senku and Kohaku and be like, okay, here's your bad habits. You have to resist the gun's weight more by handling the pistol. Use two hands as opposed to one hand. I know, like, you see this in the movies, but life ain't the movies. This is how you handle these weapons.
And then Stanley's going to be telling him that, and then maybe Senku and even Zeno maybe will be like, now this is going to be a lot different when you're inside of the gravitational, you know, sphere of the moon versus the Earth. You know what I mean? So you have to kind of like learn like what it's going to be like to do all of this stuff underwater, essentially.
Yeah. The thing that I thought was really, like, honestly, the gadgets, beyond like the character depth for Ryusui,
yes,
the gadgets in this were super cool.
Yeah.
Can we just touch on that?
Yeah.
Like, even my man Joel.
Yeah, it makes so much sense that you just like reveal these two things like in one chapter instead of like the usual process of building up to the invention when it's a really drastic, you know, invention that they're like working towards. Obviously, you need more time to prepare it, so you want to dedicate a couple chapters to that so you could show that progress and show that, you know, TLC and blood, sweat, and tears that go into like making a new big invention. But these are all things that, as important as they are entirely comprised of things that we've already seen them create a million times or used to create things. So it's oh, go ahead.
I just want to quickly interject and say, like, with the grenade net launcher, like, that's cool, whatever. I don't need to see them build that, but I would have liked to have seen the process on how this watch was built.
Right.
You know?
Oh, the resurrection watch?
If you think about it, you know, if you think about it from, you know, I'd feel like the grenade launcher would need more time, or the grenade net launcher would need more time to be shown over the watch, because like up until that small area where all of the shit is happening in, like, this is a really easy invention to create when you have a fucking watchmaker there. Like, timers and, like, you know, a button press, you know what I mean, on timers, like, that's so simple compared to a fucking
but like just the
rocket
mechanism
launcher
inside with the like release and of the fluid. I don't know. It seems like something they would go into a little more.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And with the grenades, it's grenades on nets. You know what I'm saying? Like they've stuffed a little gunpowder in a little thing that. Shrapnel, I don't know.
So then they're equally as like believable to just be made real quick on the side, because like I was saying, like we've seen all of these pieces and parts that go into these inventions like used on so many other inventions already. Like we've already had like each individual component of both of these inventions like focused on at some point in time in the narrative leading up until this. You know what I mean? They've already put things on timers before. They've already made a flintlock pistol. They've already, you know what I mean, like done like 90% of the work for both of these inventions already. So it's like off-screening them and putting them into a dramatic, you know, like hype reveal in this chapter both at the same time. It like just feels good to me that we didn't have to like spend time leading into it, because it makes this moment a lot cooler, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I like them both. I'm glad, because I remember we had a conversation a couple chapters back about like, so if they send the astronauts up in space in stone, how do they turn them back into people? We had that conversation, like, do they have just like a small film? The watch is an elegant solution. I keep forgetting that you don't have to have a lot of the resurrection fluid to have it be effective. That's just
like a cascading effect,
You just need a little bit. Like really just one splash, and then it'll like it spreads out from there. Depetrification.
The part that throws me really the most is how are they going to get guns to work in space? Because it's a vacuum.
Yeah,
like
that's right.
Oxygen is needed for combustion and firing bullets.
Yeah.
So my idea is that they're going to have like CO2 guns.
Ooh.
Like compressed, because they have the compression enough to make resurrection fluid in a watch. They probably have, because you can design a bazooka based off of like compression too. So unless they're doing things like little plastic poofs of air, so that there is air for the combustion of a bullet, because like once you're in space, a thing moves in a direction it's going to move. It doesn't have drags, so to speak, from air or as much gravity either. So it's going to go in the same direction, and like those things are going to happen. So, but I do want to see like how.
Wait a minute,
and,
because this shit explodes after it's shot too.
Yeah.
So like, Yeah, like what the
It
fuck?
makes you wonder, like, is that going to be a thing? And maybe Stanley's insights, like, yeah, this shit's not going to work up there. We need to make something that'll be
Yeah, you're
viable.
totally right. Stanley's gonna be like, nah, we're using knives. Or some shit. Like, I don't even know,
Yeah.
not knives, but like still, it's like they made this gun. Not only do they have to make sure that the gun can shoot,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? So it has enough air to shoot, create a combustion inside of the actual like chamber. But then once it's shot out, the grenade net has to attach to a certain thing and then explode again. So like even if they figure it
Mm-hmm.
out for the actual gun, like how is it the projectile going to explode thereafter? That's a pretty big
Mm-hmm.
question. I think you're totally right, Mello. I think Stanley's gonna be like, you got honestly, I don't know how Zeno and Senku, didn't even like bring that up or whatever. Maybe they're waiting for Stanley to. I don't fucking know. Or maybe Stanley will be like, you realize this isn't going to work, right? And then Zeno and Senku are gonna be like, yeah, we already thought about that. Here's our solution. Or something
Yeah,
like
they're
that.
like,
Yeah.
here's the armor, here's the real armory. We
Yeah.
just had these other things that we get people to practice. Because like,
Sure.
man, they've got a pistol with the clip, like
Yeah,
that's
that
fantastic gun.
that fucking panel on the bottom of 14 is like Twitter
Yeah,
header worthy as fuck, bro. Like it's just
exactly.
so perfect for a layout.
Also, I do like the fact
So
that we were talking about the whole like gun control and positioning, and you can
Mhm.
see that Senku, Kohaku are both doing what Ryusui is doing, and you see them just struggling. It's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, they don't got the training. It's okay.
Yep.
Oh man.
What were you gonna say, Eagle?
I was just gonna say, I did a quick Google search on the grenade thing.
Okay.
Um, it says I just googled would a grenade explode in space. It says yes, it would explode. Most hand grenades are nowadays triggered chemically, electrically, or contain a fuse enclosed within the assembly, so they don't require atmospheric oxygen to ignite.
Nice.
Are watertight and otherwise more reliably go off at a preset time since activation.
Oh, sure. So it's got like
And
Oh,
its
that's
own
awesome.
like
bullets,
preset amount of air inside of the enclosed grenade like
Nice.
canister space. Yeah.
and as far as the
Yeah.
bullets, I, this is of course assuming that they are making modern day bullets in Dr. Stone. Yes, bullets carry their own oxidizing agent in the explosive of the cartridge, which is sealed anyway, so there's no need for atmospheric oxygen to ignite the propellant. Once shot, the bullet will keep going forever as the universe is expanding at a faster rate than the bullet will travel.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. All
Sounds
right.
good. All right, got that
Works
figured
for
out.
me.
Great search.
Sorry, I didn't mean to like bring on
No,
the parade, but I
that
just
was
wanted
no.
to.
No
That's a
worries.
very important search.
That's
Yeah,
a plot
absolutely.
hole cemented over.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's what we want. Yeah, that's what we need. In
I
this
was
kind of
worried for a second. I was just like, ah, man.
I mean,
And I mean, we
it
we
wasn't
can
so
trust
much.
that.
Yeah.
I would say, there's a scientific consultant on this story that is completely 100% like going over every chapter. There's a computing consultant on this story.
Shout out
I would
Kurare.
say
Yeah.
anything that they're saying, we can probably trust.
Well, it's
But I
also
just
just like I could
I was
see
really
it.
curious, so I
Yeah.
was like, I'm gonna Google this shit real quick and see what's up.
Yeah, and even if it wasn't like that, even if we didn't have a physical explanation like the kind that you just like looked up, like we already kind of like touched on the possibility
Yeah.
that Stanley like wakes up and goes like, this isn't everything you need to do in regard to this weapon that you made. And then either Senku and Zeno go, oh yo, you're totally right, let's adjust this, or they go, nah, we already factored that in, here's how we're gonna supplement that.
Mhm.
So like,
Or maybe
yeah.
Stanley is the one that maybe has like sat back and he's like, I've kind of thought about this shit a little bit more. What if he is like, we need to prepare for the possibility that this thing is an AI?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
we're preparing to go up against people.
Yeah.
He was like, maybe we should go up there with some electronics disabling type
One
shit.
EMP. Like,
Hey,
do we
EMP,
have enough for
yo.
an EMP
you know?
to shut this down?
Yeah.
Dude,
But then they'd have to be
honestly,
really careful with that. Yeah, because an EMP would be really useful,
yeah.
especially against a computerized thing.
Especially if you can concentrate it like in a cone, because like I don't really know exactly how EMPs really affect technology. Like, is it just like a stun, or is it like an actual like I fried your fucking shit? You know what I mean? Because if it's like just
I've
like
heard,
yeah,
I don't know if this is like actual factual, but like I've heard that if like, any major country, let's just say the US in this instance, if the US got hit with an EMP, it would literally like send us back to the Stone Age.
Oh my god, yeah.
Disable all of our electronics for like I can't remember like
Yeah.
They said it would take us, from what I read or heard at the time, I think it said it would take us like 200 years to get back to the point we're at now with no help.
Yeah, so if that's accurate, if that's super accurate, then that means that it like fries the system in a way to where technicians have to like go in and fix it rather than it just being like a temporary disabling of the functionality of whatever it is that you
it's because it's magnetic.
Right.
Yeah, nobody get on my heels about that. Right, I don't know if that's facts.
No, that makes sense.
Let us know in the comments.
Let me know in the comments.
Yeah, for sure. Let us know in the comments for sure. But either way, we got the narrative covered. You know what I mean? I feel like this conversation either told us like, yo, this is definitely something that Stanley's going to bring up as far as things you haven't considered, or, you know, going off of the Google search that Eagle just did on the physical side of like how combustion works inside of these weapons in a vacuum, then like, you know, then they're all good no matter what. You know what I mean? There doesn't need to be any kind of extra steps taken. A bullet can still be fired. A grenade can still go off in space, according to the research, the quick research that Eagle kind of just did. So no matter like what happens, I feel like narratively it's gonna be sound. It's gonna be you know, pretty tight and solid. So I'm down for either possibility. And who knows, Riichiro Inagaki could come out the woodwork and say, oh, I bet you guys were, you know, factoring in this, and this, but here's this curveball of a fourth option that you guys hadn't thought about. That'd be the coolest part. Yeah, but
he's done that before, like
many times.
Resurrection Watch, to be honest. Like, the Resurrection Watch threw me away. I was like, bam.
Yeah, and it makes so much sense because it's like, okay, if the Resurrection Watch is like your personal, oops, I got petrified, you know, in the heat of the moment, let me fix myself. It's like they could totally have like a sprinkler system inside of the ship, petrify themselves on the way there so they don't have to fucking deal with as much oxygen. And then, you know, and then as soon as it's landed, there's a timer inside of the ship that sprays everybody, you know, or something.
Build it into the headrest.
Yeah, and then they can, you know, get off the ship on the moon, confront Y-Man, get petrified again, and then have the watch or something. You know what I mean? So I bet you there's so many contingencies, so many like ways to get revived from petrification, even if like, I don't know, the watch seems to be the last, you know, the last bastion there. But still, like, I feel like all of this is starting to feel really good, like so good before they go up into this rocket, onto this ship. They're spending the perfect amount of time on like the prerequisite storytelling for it that I just like feel so good about what's about to happen. So I'm ready. I'm ready for the trip.
Oh man.
But yeah, I think that's about all I had for Dr. Stone.
I think I'm good too.
All right. Well, with that, I think we can go ahead and get right into chapter 87 of Mashle, Magic and Muscles, the final review on the show. And what a chapter.
Don't bear it in the two foes too many.
Yes. Oh, wow.
Gotcha.
Sorry about that.
I got it. Yeah. But yeah, dude. Right. Yeah, dude. What a chapter.
Yes. And I kind of like this guy, his little last-ditch effort to fuck over Lance. But
Contini? Yeah.
At the same time, I'm like, why would you actually open a portal up to the room he's trying to go to? I thought for sure he was going to send him off to like that key would be in a totally different room and he was going to have to like
a goose chase.
Yeah, why didn't he do that? Unless there's like some kind of specific reason inside of his magic that wouldn't allow him to for some reason, but that's clearly not specified here. So he actually did just give him the room.
For me, it would have made more sense if he showed him, like if Komoto showed into the portal that like Lance could see that it was the room.
Yeah.
And like that was kind of a tactic. He like, okay, this is actually a portal. Like go ahead and go through. Like I'm beat, you know?
Yeah.
But if he can't see through the portal to which room it is and he still just trusts, like that makes it just makes it would have felt better for me.
Weird, yeah.
Well, I mean,
I didn't even think about that. That's like a really good point, bro. Sorry, Bello, go ahead.
No worries. Page 1. Contini says, I've got no choice. My mother taught me to never go back on my word. The guy's a weirdo, so maybe he's just like doing that. And also like, you know,
because it was Cap. He said he said that just to make him fucking trust him. Maybe that's what it was then. Maybe because they like bonded over how you know, the cringe levels of appreciation they have for their mother and sister. He's like, whatever, I can trust this dude if he says, this is for my mom right before he opens up the portal. So I guess that's fine.
Where he's just like, I have to give you over the key because I said I would.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. So I feel like that's fine. I do like the whole teleportation gate decapitation trick. I think that, like, even though they don't show us, they probably showed the room where Mashle was to get him to lower his guard. And it's like, you know, like when you tell a lie, you add something with a little bit of truth to make it, like,
more enticing.
because when people are, like, lying about the whole thing, you can usually kind of pick up on the vibe of that. So if you mix in a little bit of truth to, like, get someone to lower their guard, then, like, that helps. Like, I could see that being a thing.
That makes sense, yeah.
But it is very straightforward of him.
Yeah, I like the portal. I like the portal magic. It reminds me of, like, so many things. But the one that comes to mind right now, just right now, is fucking Nove from Hunter x Hunter. The dude who makes the fucking portals in the 4D mansion. He has that like close quarters combat like Nen technique called Scream, where he like opens up the portal and then closes it and like cuts off your shit. He like decapitated those two ant guards, like, or I think it was just one, but yeah, he killed the fuck out that dude so quick. He said, and his shit was just gone.
Yeah, that shit was
fire. Yeah.
I wonder too why, like, when walking through a gate, who like goes and just like puts their arm through it first.
Right, I would have just jumped straight through that shit.
I'm in there. What's he doing? Like, why does he specifically put? It's just, I don't know.
I think it's because he just wanted the key, right? Wait. So where was the key?
On page 2.
Page 2.
He has the key already.
Oh, he already has the key.
Yeah.
And he like puts his hand through first the portal, which is just, I don't know. That whole scene.
Yeah.
Seemed like it could have just felt better if a couple things, I don't know.
Yeah, it seems a little too helped along.
Presented in a couple ways.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, if we'd seen the portal with like actually like the coffin where Mash is, maybe that would help.
Yeah.
And then like have that moment where like he's like leaping and he has it in his hand and then like, I don't know, uses gravity on himself to like stop him like moving forward to like drop his mask, but then lets go of the key.
Yeah.
Like I can see that being a thing, and that would be really like tight, but at the same time, like page count, I get it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Page count. Let's say that. I mean, and honestly, like little contrivances like that in a fucking gag story, like don't matter. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's like if this is like a straight up, you know, comedy. Like 80% comedy leaning, you know, like battle manga, then it's like whatever. We don't need Hunter or Jujutsu Kaisen levels of like super tight narrative shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
we don't need that kind of like.
But still,
realism.
it does like this opening couple of pages does feel kind of weird in that way. But
it feels very much like they've really settled into the identity of a gag manga, despite how dark the series and like went for a while.
That doesn't even seem like something that's like, you know. That's you know, related to the fact that it's a comedy or a gag manga. Like this is something that wasn't comedic. It wasn't like something that like it was an actual, you know, in the moment plot betrayal. Defense. Like plot, like kind of like thing like that, and it just wasn't you know, executed in a very satisfying way, which is something that you kind of just have to say, whatever, who cares, because it's a gag manga. But I don't think that was a gag scene. Yeah.
Lance did say on page 3, he's like, I'd expected a trap from him. At least he saved me some time by coming right out with it. Is this guy an idiot, really? Like, so he's like, all right, maybe he's just like sticking out his hand to see if he's like,
you expected that, and you still stuck your fucking hand in the mystery hole.
Yeah.
Dude, Lance is ballsy. Say what you want.
Yeah, sure.
Oh man.
But the key drops next to Dote. He grabs it.
Yeah.
And he's, you know, trying to stand up against the shark buddy. I always forget this dude's name. What's
Rose quartz. It's like rose quartz.
Something
rose
like
quartz.
that.
Yeah. And again, we just like get a bunch of like comedic internal monologue through this, like Dote kind of cheering himself on, hyping himself up. And then who's this other guy? I don't have any idea like any of these dudes' names.
You talk
They
about
were only
tongue
introduced-
guy, big
Tongue
big
boy?
big
Tongue
buff
boy?
tongue guy, tongue boy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they called him like Garo or something like that.
Some shit. Yeah, I think you're
Yeah,
right, Bello.
it
Actually, I
started with a
remember
G.
that. Yeah.
To be honest, like his name was only really mentioned like once, and that was like 5 chapters ago.
Yeah, and I doubt we get like a significant backstory for him even. So I think he's literally just meant to be there with his character design and his magic. So whatever.
Yeah, he's doing acid.
Yeah.
So
Like a
But
glorified
as far
extra.
as the kind of cross stuff that happens with Dote, like
Yeah.
this is only like the second or third time we've seen it, I believe. So
Yep.
I don't know. I always like when this comes up.
I forgot this was a thing, and I was like, oh shit, like that was like my big point of hype in the chapter. I was like, oh yeah, that's right, he could totally do this.
Yeah, and like I don't know. I feel like in the past we had speculated on it maybe being like a lineage thing for him, or I don't know. What do you guys think now at this point? Are you kind of still along the same lines of thought as what you had before for this?
I don't even remember what I thought about before, honestly. But I think I like what you're saying right now. I think that because we don't really know too much about his family, do we?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
He
maybe
hasn't
we
really
got
mentioned it very
one
much.
small flashback with a sibling or a parent, but I don't remember.
I feel like
it reminded me of D. Gray Man with the giant cross on the forehead
Oh sure, yeah.
a little bit, where I was just like, yeah. So maybe like I think that with a series that leans so heavily into the idea of magical lineages, they might have it's just part of his thing. Like they've refined the bloodline to a point that he has like this open spot on his forehead, and he needs to keep it covered up to like repress it or something, or maybe the wrap itself is like a big suppressant item to like let him like channel his a very dangerous magic, by the way, like a very dangerous magic in like safe amounts, like
Right.
a limiter.
I like that.
Because like
Yeah.
I feel like that's the only real explanation there, because even like the headband looks like a cross, but also looks like a big old sign like that you see outside of like my old like minefields.
Yeah.
They're like, please do not go further. This is now government territory and is mined for your own safety. Please turn back. You know, kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, bro.
And then, like-
I think I like that because it's like I have the
Yeah.
headband on. I don't know if this is actually going to be a thing, but just for the sake of the conversation that we're having right now, I think I
Yeah.
like it because it's like his magic is explosions. You know what I mean? So even though
Yeah.
you can assume that someone who uses magic in this world is immune to the effects of their own, it could still be a situation to where bomb magic or explosion magic is so powerful that it can even harm the individual that's casting it. I could totally see that being a caveat line for his specific affinity. And then like the headband is some kind of magic related tech that keeps his explosions at a manageable, level of damage to where he doesn't have to worry about any being inflicted upon himself. And then he takes the headband off, his damage output spikes, and now he's susceptible to hurting himself with his magic though at the same time. I think that would be a really cool explanation for it.
I feel like that's it, because I don't think I've ever seen Dote actually harmed by his own explosions. Like
Yeah.
at most, like Wile E. Coyote level, like frizzy hair stuff when he blows himself up, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. But this time, like you get up to the part where like they're on the ceiling using magnetism to like rain down acid on him, and he blows himself up to double jump. Like
Yeah.
he concentrates explosions on his feet and like destroys his shit.
Yeah, and you can see the damage too, can't you? That's right. There's like a whole panel where, well, I guess his shoes are really just the only things.
Yeah,
that are
they're
kind of
really
damaged.
durable.
Yeah.
So he's definitely able to focus them and direct those explosions, but like he's still suffering blowback. And for
Sure.
me, like this is the first time I've seen blowback from his magic.
I think it's the first time I remember it too.
Yeah.
That's tight though
The
that
mag-
he like, because it's like you think about how Dote is going to be able to counter this kind of situation, especially when it's a 2-on-1. And I guess if you just take advantage of the blind spots that their own magic creates, as well as blind spots you can create of your own, as long as you get the element of surprise, I guess the level of skill doesn't really matter as much, or the level of the power gap, you know what I mean? Because I'm sitting here going like, hey, Doubt's cool or whatever, but like these are supposed to be the most significant, like, other student, human, like magician threats that these guys have kind of run into at this point. So it's
Yeah.
like putting Dote into a 2v1 against this specific group of antagonists felt like really like weird to me. But then creating the opening that he, you know, or the advantage that he gets and the opening that he exploits in this, you know, exchange inside of the choreography felt pretty good in that way. I don't know how I'll feel if he like just outright beats them off of one magic attack landing, even if it's like a giant one. I mean, whatever. This explosion is pretty huge, but if all he needed was one opening, I guess that says a lot about a lot of things to me. I don't know.
I mean, at the same time, like, if you're fighting a dude with a grenade, he only needs one.
That's true. That's true. That's true. So, like, that's totally fine, too. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Especially if he's, like, fried to a crisp at the end of this and, like, you know, he's just as defeated as the other two, but it doesn't matter because he defeated them. Yeah, yeah, that's totally fine.
I want him to be roughed up because he's concentrating all this explosions on himself. He's doing it in a way that they can't have any ground to hide behind. So, like, that tracks for me. I like that. And like, it's a nice sacrifice because Dote has been seen as like definitively weaker than Lance and some of the others. So it's like, it's, you know, hey, you know what? You're bringing up his level saying, hey, he does have game. He does have ability, but it's going to cost him. And
it's like all heart. It's all heart and risk. It's not like carefully calculated strategy or something that would feel out of character for a Doubt W. Like he totally won within his means by sacrificing himself. There's enough balance there to where it doesn't feel like awkward that he just beat two of the strongest enemies
it's not
that
janky.
We've seen in the series. Yeah, it's not clunky in that way. Now there was a lot of like, you know, thought and strategy related to it, but at the same time, it's like not outside of his means. You know what I mean? He's like one of the characters that is constantly giving you play-by-plays of like the skills Mash is using and like the feats that like you have like Finn and then you have Dote that are like the commentators of like crazy shit that happens in conflict in Mash. So that coupled with the fact that he, you know, kind of sacrificed himself for it feels pretty good, honestly. Yeah.
I like it. Burst of passion.
I kind of spent a little bit of time here trying to look this up because I had a feeling that we had gotten a little bit of an explanation on the cross. Sorry, I know we're like going back to a previous point in the conversation pretty far.
No, that's good. This is good.
It is the Ira Cruz or Cruz, just something he was born with. It's a Warden Cross, and when his emotions spike, his true magic power unleashes, making him a battle demon. Cruz is German for cross.
Also Spanish. Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the explanation we've got.
Oh my god, it literally is a burst of passion. I was just saying that because it was fitting for his character, but like, he's literally exploding with passion.
That's really good. That's good. That's really good.
I
want to say like he could have been able to do all of the things that he like. It's not except for like the damage output that's obviously coming from this boost in form that he's kind of like taken with like. But I mean like you still hit him with like 30 fucking explosions. Like that's a really big fucking deal. Even without this form, I wonder what the form actually did because I could totally see him still doing all of this stuff even without this specific boost. So like. I don't know.
It gives him way more magic power, so I don't know that he could do this without that.
As far as like the huge explosion goes, right? Yeah. So like as far as like
huge and the multiple volleys of like 30 of them coming.
Oh, sure. Maybe he can't even conjure that many explosions without the form. Yeah, that's fine. But I could have sworn I seen him like do like a huge, you know, giant, you know, volley even without this form before. But I mean, whatever. You know what I mean? Like these are like little things that don't actually matter, but I'm sitting here going like, man, if that's really like a new form that kind of like gives him what he needs in the moment, I wonder what he actually got from it besides damage, because don't be in the mix of action regardless. Like he will blow his feet up to get to you and grab you and blow himself up.
I love seeing that.
Yeah, like with or without this form, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I wonder what it actually did, but damage is enough of a reason.
I mean, page 16, he's grabbing onto Rose Quartz's shoulder, like his clothes, and he's like, no, he's like, it's like, I'm not afraid to die if I have to. He's going straight kamikaze. He's just like, full power, let's go. If I survive, I survive. Like,
well, and I mean, to me, magical power means like not only damage, like DPS, but like increased
Scale.
capacity for spells, scale, exactly, like, you know, mana pool, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes all the sense. Yeah, absolutely.
So, just kind of an upgrade across the board, really, for a minute, 30 seconds, however long. He's like,
yeah, just like, you know, all Madden stats for like 2 minutes.
Hall of Fame stats.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Hey, so this last page of Mash running, I don't know if we saw this in the last chapter of like what this space kind of looks like for him, but like
we saw the when he first got locked in there, we kind of saw the cloudy.
He's doing the camping bit where he's just like, so
the last time we saw him, the box had just got put on him, and he's kind of like, holy shit, this place is crazy or whatever. But we haven't seen him running infinitely, you know, until this chapter, right? Because this is totally something that I think Mello pointed out, or maybe Eagle pointed out.
I was saying he was going to try and run to the edge, and he would reach the edge and break out, and the dude would be like, "What the fuck?"
Oh, okay, nah, because then so you said that,
because he had to run like 140 miles or something.
And then
like
Mello said,
music video,
so you said that, Eagle, and then Mello said, or it's just going to be an infinite space that he can't run to the edge of. So then he fucking jumps out the top because the magic isn't expecting you to take that route. It's expecting you to run on the ground infinitely or whatever.
Dr. J just fucking leaps out the roof.
So I think honestly,
Larry.
I think we could still see something like that, because it's like, otherwise, I don't know, like that. I could just totally see that happening, especially with the end of this chapter, you know, showing us what it does.
I could see that, but part of me doesn't want him to, like, because
get
I
out
want
by himself.
Lance and Dote's
you're totally
fights
right.
to have meaning, right? Like, I want getting those keys to have meaning. So, like, maybe if they're gonna, like, you know, hand wave that, I want him to at least have, like, you know, punch it out so that, like, there's just one arm hanging out of the box, and then Dote uses like the explosions to like launch the keys into his hand or something like that, and then he unlocks the door. But like, I don't want him to escape without help.
Like, get out by himself. That makes that. You're totally right.
I would love a Dote moment here, you know, and he opens up the box and like.
If Dote just beat those 2 mages, he has his moment with or without the key. Like honestly, like that's like a really big deal if he won right here. You know what I mean? So
it'd be kind of interesting if like Dote's like, I'm beaten, I'm wrecked, and then the guys are like walking towards like the explosion, like not walking towards the keys, and then like an explosion happens and it blows the keys into the locks. Like I think that'd be kind of funny.
That'd be crazy. That'd be hype and funny. That would be like a
like I think it would fit well within the gag theme. And then it's like no, and then Mash is like, I've jumped out of the box.
No, you want to know what? Yeah, I think they both have more fight to go here. I don't think either of these.
Yeah,
I don't think.
And Lance is still around, and we still have you know, Abel and Abyss Razor and Margaret Macaron. Like we still have those guys, you know.
Because Lance super low diffed his enemy.
Dude, it was funny.
Mama! And Dote, you know, is on some like thug shit right now, but I still feel like he should have more. Even though his strategy and like what he did in this chapter was like super cool and super satisfying. I still feel like he needs a little bit more struggle inside of
give him a little extra
conflict of this scale. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I don't know. Wild shit.
Yeah. I think that's about all I had for Mashle, but
I don't have any.
Last thing I guess we can note is like just some of the choreography through this fight was really, really nice, you know. Jumping around, ceiling, avoiding explosions.
Dude, I loved the ceiling fight where they're like, my magnets give me complete freedom of movement. You can't hide in the smoke, we're above you, motherfucker. Like I was like, oh, that's good. I like that because magnetism is such a cool ability, but it doesn't have to all just be like Magneto wave of the hand, the gun disassembles, you know? So like I like seeing kind of like the practical stuff. Like I was disappointed when Magna died in My Hero Academia because I was like, they have magnet powers. That's cool. I love that shit. And then they didn't use them at all, and I'm like,
oh no.
Fine.
So wait a minute though, because this dude is kind of dumb then, because if he's on, so on page 14, he goes up on the ceiling, and my magnets give me complete freedom of movement, and don't think you can hide in the smoke. I'll drag you out of there, and then drops down to the ground, and shoots the magnet ball in like one specific direction.
Oh,
Like,
I
what
think
made
he's
you
standing
decide
on
on
the
that
ceiling.
direction? No, because it shows him drop down in the middle panel on page 14, right? Because he's on the ceiling with dude.
So weird.
And
Yeah,
then
why
in the
do you
middle
do
panel,
that?
he drops back down onto the floor, conjures up his ball, and then just shoots it in a random direction. Like, what was he like planning to shoot the ball and then have it start? Yeah, he was trying to have it pinball all over the place. Yeah, that's what he. And then in the moment that he shot it in the first direction in a straight line before it started ricocheting, that's when doubt caught him. And it's like, man, that just seems so obvious to me. Like, if I was that dude, I'd. I don't know. I'd probably shoot the ball from the ceiling, maybe. Because it's like, does it really matter? You know what I mean? Huh?
Part of me wondered if that was what he was doing, but the floor does seem different. And then
I mean, you get the
but,
thud
like,
too. You know what I mean? Like the thud is like a dead giveaway
Yeah.
that he dropped down onto the floor. You know what I mean?
True.
So
Yeah.
Maybe it's like
page
more of a.
16.
yeah,
Go ahead.
Because like page 16 where Dote is like kind of like flying at them, and like that top panel he just seems like he's above him, so it's like I
Oh,
was like
sure.
wondering. That's what really sold me on them still being on the ceiling, but like you picked it out with the thud, so like I mean
Yeah.
it does fictionally follow that they did get back on the ground, and Dote was just above them, like had launched himself up in the air,
yeah.
or like was in the smokescreen in the air and then coming down to them.
Maybe he was just trying to like kind of clear the smoke out with the magnet ball, because he did just say like, "Oh, I'll drag you out of there."
Yeah.
Sure.
And maybe there's like kind of a visual thing with his ability too. Like maybe he can't magnetize you if he can't see you. So he was really trying to get away from the
that's a
smoke.
good limitation.
Yeah.
I mean, most like in D&D and stuff, most spells say you can only target creatures that you can see within a certain range.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, so like that tracks for me. That's an easy translation in my brain. I like
Yeah. Yeah, that's
that.
cool.
But yeah, I think that's all about I had.
Yeah, I'm definitely
For
good on
Mashle.
Mashle.
Yep, same.
Love you, Mashle.
All right. Well, yes.
So long,
We love you, Marshall. Thank you for the the time and the reviews and the fun and the laughs and all the good speculation and discussion that you've given us.
Plenty of incredible conversations inside of Mashle.
We enjoyed your time on the show, and we appreciate the spot you've given us to put Ayashimon in. So
Yeah, for sure.
thanks. And with that, we might as well go ahead and get right into the final chapter of coverage from us on Buraku Kuro. Chapter 315, Ultra Giant Showdown. And we start off with like the actual Super Power Ranger
It's so Sentai.
Mhm.
console control room in the Megazord, where they're all like putting their magic into these fucking consoles that they're sitting at. Like,
Yeah.
it's so just strange. I don't know.
That's the panel where I was like, damn, it really looks like that in there. Did we see that last chapter? I don't remember
No.
if we saw that.
No,
This is the
we
first
didn't.
time that we're seeing
This
it.
is the first time
That's
we've seen
so
the cockpit.
funny, dude. Holy shit.
And it's just like, wow, they really swapped genres on me. Because, like, I know we cover Ranger Reject, so where I'm like, yeah, that's the Sentai series. And I'm like, wait, Black Clover is the Sentai series now? They got the Zord, they got the Goopy Gus, like...
Not the goopy Gus.
And I mean, Henry can
he's-
do whatever he wants with this space. Like,
Yeah.
he really essentially controls it. It
For sure.
moves at his will. So it makes sense that he would be able to do this, but it's just strange. Like, why would he think of this design?
It makes sense.
It's a nod at the
architecture.
Sentai,
Yeah, yeah, no, it definitely is, and like it makes sense as far as like on the architecture side of things. Like he can make it look whatever way he wants in there, but like what do these control stations actually do
I
for
know.
them? Yeah, like what is the actual functionality?
Is it just like a stone seal where
Yeah,
your hands are? Like
maybe.
Like in,
There we
like
go.
Fifth Element,
Yeah,
where you
yeah,
put your
yeah.
hands on the two spots. And
Yeah,
you're
and
like,
then it just
I'm a
takes
meat
your
popsicle.
energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting
You know,
here
it's a
going like,
standing
no
desk.
way they got switches and pulleys and
No.
buttons, but like, why would they?
Not
Yeah,
with
that's
this
so
series.
dumb. Yeah, that was just like I'm sitting here going like, what is the actual functionality of the
No.
seat they're sitting in? And
I
it's
do
literally
like
probably
that
just a mana sink is what it is. Yeah.
it's just a mana sink. They're
Yeah.
washing their hands, getting drained, and like I think it's really funny that all these little sheep are just slowly just feeding these people. Like, yeah, I can't use my hands. You gotta feed me, and we're like, all right, let's just keep playing Magic and getting fed by Charmy's little dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And we
this is
got
the
luck
most
kinda,
Sentai episode.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
we got luck kind of using his magic to detect where in the kind of amalgamation monstrosity Lucifero, where Yami and Vengeance are. And their plan is to kind of try and pluck them out of there, and in hopes that that'll kind of like stop what's going on. Which, who's to say whether that'll work? And we had this little panel of I don't know. Noct has so many designs that I like just can't really remember them all yet.
This
So
is the
when we got
horse
this-
one. This is the horse design, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's his horse stance where he's like, it's got the highest defense.
Yeah, that's
defense,
right.
like the horse in Junie Tyson. He
In
was the
Junie
defense
Tyson, I was
dude,
literally
yeah.
just
Dude,
gonna
straight
say
up, I remember.
Watch Junie Tyson if you haven't. It's fucking 12
It's
episodes
so good.
on Crunchyroll. Like super quick, tight, concise fucking pacing.
Yeah.
Beautiful, crisp ass animation.
Amazing
Awesome
character
fucking
writing.
choreography and action. Like
Yes.
Terrifying
action
bad
the whole
guys.
time.
Yes.
Concept of the story is so fucking sick, but I don't want to like stray too far away from the chapter here.
Yeah.
Watch fucking Junie Tyson.
Watch that.
It's
shit.
amazing.
It's good.
Noxie says this all the time, and I haven't watched as many of them, so I can't really say it with as much confidence. But like, best 12 episode anime I've ever seen.
Yeah, dude, I really like it for 12. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Noct playing his part here, like kind of standing back. He's like, I'm not getting in this fucking Megazord. I'm gonna sit here and like analyze the situation on my own terms here.
Yeah.
And
I need to be on the ground level, checking this shit out.
Front line.
right.
Scoping.
He's the one thinking like, okay, yeah, if we rip them out of there, this theoretically should stop what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he's like, man, it's not looking too good. They're fucking crumbling apart.
mean-
Is this because of the gravity?
Also, it is part of like Lucifero's like magic, right? Like he's also using transformation magic, right? Because
No. He's just gravity,
No?
I thought. Because Morris had the conceptual,
Yeah, but
affecting
he's still, like-
magic or whatever.
he was like the beginning vessel, and he was using his magic to like combine all the demons that were pouring out of the gate into this giant goopy gipper like
Oh.
kind of body.
Yeah, maybe. don't
So
know.
I feel like it's crumble because they were using it to absorb buildings. So I feel like it's absorbing the Black Bull Zord as well.
Oh, wait, no, because Henry says he's still incomplete, and yet what vast magic, no matter how much we absorb, it overflows. We can't catch
Yeah.
up. So maybe this crumbling is the overflow.
He's just kind of losing control of it and can't keep it all
Oh,
together.
it's
Yeah, I
just
think-
like because in contact with it, it's just being overloaded by magic. So
Yeah.
one magic is kind of getting eroded.
Yeah, or something. Or
Okay.
maybe he's just
I
like,
can see
it's
that.
too much magic to contain and keep the form whole or something. I don't fucking know. But I think overflow of magic absorbed makes a lot of sense for the crumbling. Even though, like, I don't know, maybe you could say it's like, no, because if it was gravity, it would have a completely different visual effect.
Yeah. I mean, there's gravity being affecting on like the citizenship. You can see them on like pages 4 and like 11, where they're
Yep.
just like, we're getting squished like bugs, and I'm like,
Yeah, but the crumbling
squishing.
on page 4 almost looks like it's like 0G, like less gravity. Like it looks like it's
Yeah,
like rising
yeah.
from off of the top of it or whatever. So it's like
I mean, you
I
can
don't
still
fucking
see
know.
those like gravity lines
You
kind of
still
being drawn.
can see those. True, yeah.
Especially like
Yeah.
you can see them on the horns, kind of up top on the
Yeah.
head and shoulders,
Yeah,
where it's
for
like,
sure.
oh
Yeah,
man.
no, you totally can. I don't know, man.
I feel like Noct
Overloaded. Yeah.
is the
I feel like
Green
Overlord
Ranger.
is the consensus. The green, no, he's the White Ranger for sure, right? Isn't that the kind of
Yeah, but
top
like
tier
Green Ranger
green
became
slash
the White
white.
Ranger.
Yeah,
green slash.
white.
Oh, we did used to be the green.
No, because he totally is though.
Or
Because
he became the green after the white.
yeah, I can't remember which order it was.
Green
I'm pretty
first,
sure. I'm
then
pretty sure
white.
it's green to white. Yeah. In MMPR is when all that goes down for the first time, right? The first season. Yeah.
The
Anyway,
classic,
yeah, the classic. Anyway, Noct definitely is the Green Ranger though, because he has his own, kind of situation separate from the main team and their Megazord, right? Like he has like his own forms and his own, bigger, attacks like outside of his like regular like base form, separate from, this giant, Voltron, Megazord version that they have going.
He's
And that's
the
always
edgy
what
hero.
Tommy did. Yeah, like the Power Rangers would all 5 go into their shit and go fight the enemy. Then they'd get whooped, and then he'd be like, "It's time to, do my thing," and then he'd bust out his fucking like flute or whatever. Yeah, his flute knife. Yeah, and then he'd jump into his own Megazord and then fight solo.
It was like a
Yeah.
raptor looking thing.
Yeah, so even though Noct doesn't have his own like Megazord, he's still like, he's still Green
He's doing
Ranger
stuff.
in this situation for
He's
sure.
very much the Green Ranger.
I love that we're just like Megazord is the consensus term for this right now.
I mean, it's look at that cockpit. Tell me that ain't a Zord.
It's the cockpit.
If I stripped the capes and the stonework and I just put on a little bit of like a little jammies and like a little bit of chrome, you'd tell me that's a new Sentai series. You'd be like, Mighty Morphin Train Buster Ranger. I don't know.
Yeah, and
Like,
it doesn't
whatever the
even,
thing it is.
whether it's fucking Power Rangers or Voltron, they all do the
Mighty
same shit.
Morphin
Like
Magic Ranger.
yeah, they all
I
get their
mean,
own little cockpit. You see it in fucking Transformers even too. I'm pretty sure they combine in Transformers at some point, and like humans like kick it in the center of the chest or whatever. So,
They even did it in Rick and Morty with the ferret rangers or whatever the fuck it was.
yeah, maybe not Transformers. I don't know why. I feel like I have a memory of that happening in that franchise.
I've always
but
had this like, what if like a transformer forgot to eject their passenger and like transform? Just
Yeah. Oh my god. But like
they're just in the chest, all crunched up, blood's like leaking out. Oh
Bumblebee,
my God.
you're leaking oil. Oh no, that's not oil.
yo, why is that oil red? Not Sam.
Wait, was it?
Yeah, Sam Witwicky, I think is his name.
Sam!
I completely forgot that was Shia LaBeouf's name of his character.
Those are my favorite Transformers movies.
Sam.
Oh man.
Why does it feel like, on that note, as long as we're talking about Transformers, it feels like Optimus Prime's voice actor like has always been the same fucking dude. Is this dude immortal?
No. So,
Even for these old ass cartoons.
Yeah, that is the original voice actor of Optimus Prime, who plays the Optimus Prime in the Michael Bay films. That was one of the coolest things, to find out. Yeah, like that was like one of like the major draws for like me and my family, is like we all watched that shit all the way to Gen 1. Before time began, there was the cube. Hey, I used to fucking say that shit like every fucking day after I first saw that movie. And I would like, I would practice the fucking transform sound like, yeah, you do it like you try to do it so many different ways, like in your mouth to try to make the sound. And it's just like,
man.
Optimus Prime voice actor.
Goated. Goated.
You remember what though, Mello? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, I was just looking at like these pages on like the double spread on 8 and 9, and like seeing them like try to do as much attack as they can, like your waifu Meliona and.
Yes.
Oh fuck yeah, that's right. She's in this chapter.
Page 6 for me.
Yes.
She got Snow was hype. All the citizens, they're protecting them from like the big thing coming down.
Yeah, she's teaming up with Salamander's user, like Salamander's new host.
Fuego Leon. Remember the name.
Put some respect on the guy, bro.
Put some respect on the guy, you know what I'm saying?
I said Fuego.
Oh, did he? Okay, no. He did say Fuego.
Comment, back me up in the chat. I just said it softly.
Oh,
my apologies.
Speak softly and carry a big salamander.
Yeah, that's the guy. Oh shit.
Any panel Mario Leon is on is already just
Yeah.
Like, look at her. She's like, she's having such a good time.
She always has like the perfect expression Like, and it's always the same expression, but it's just the one I want to see whenever fucking shit is hitting the fan. She just has a maniacal fucking like smile, laugh, grin happening.
Maniacal is a great word.
Yeah, and it's just like, I love to see that.
I'm staring in the face of death and having a great time.
Yeah, she's that battle crazed, like that person who just enjoys the combat that you just love to see in these types of stories, man.
Right.
Oh man, especially for this story. I really liked the extra cannons for some reason. I was just like,
the cannon panel that attack
was
fired me
cool.
up.
Yeah, this spread was fire.
Good.
The spread on 8 and 9 was so fire.
It felt
I can like see it happening in like slow motion, and you just hear like the shoot, 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 shoot. You know what I mean? Like the sound effects for it, like are gonna be so good. Yeah.
I liked it because like it showed like a lot of physical damage for, you know,
Swiss cheesed them up.
Cheesed them.
Yeah. And then like watching them kind of crumble and get to that point, like, and then he just kind of quickly reforms, you know, congeals, and like, and the bulls, like they're putting out so much magic, they're like, we can't keep this structure shape intact.
Right.
Like they're running off fumes, and they're just like, like I liked the crushing of like, because you can see like the buildings revert back to like their original parts after being like fortified.
Yeah.
So I liked seeing it kind of like the magic kind of crumble and like go back to it. And then page 12, it's gonna be okay. Very much also a Sentai style panel where it's like, you know, that spiral wheel spoke where it has like a little bit of everyone's face.
Yes. I always love that page in like any series. Like whenever you do that, that's so fire. But I did not remember when did Asta fucking separate himself from everybody? Like it's cool. Like it's tight. Like it was probably always a part of the plan. Like we're all going to go into the Megazord. Asta, you reposition yourself over here, you know, like for if we fail, and then you can load up your, you know, Yami attack or whatever the fuck you're gonna do. Like I just remember being so like, hold on, I thought Asta was with them.
Well,
I was like, what is he doing all the way over
never
here?
See him, but like, there's so many sheep and extras and stuff in the cockpit. You're like, oh yeah, and then like you're like, wait, Asta isn't with them.
Yeah, Asta's not even in the last chapter at all. Oh wait, yeah, he is. Yeah, he is.
He was off getting his shit prepped.
No, he is here. He is here. He's on page 6 of last chapter when the fucking new, you know, layer of the second level of the underworld opens up, and he's like, oh shit, and he's next to Magna, and they like kind of like react to it or whatever, and then the fucking Klepoth tree fuses with Lucifero. He manifests, is this big, you know, fucking Burton, you know, Tim Burton-esque monster. And then everyone goes into matter conversion, Castle Black Bull's hideout. Okay, and then you don't see Asta again. So he must have just been like, yeah, you guys got this. I'm gonna run over here.
He has no magic to put into it.
He has no magic to put it. It makes all the sense in the world.
Like, why would we put you? It's like having knocked on the outside. They're like, no, devil users, you go on the outside. We can't do shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have to do the Black Bull thing.
No. He shouldn't be there. And I'm not saying that he should have, or that it's like weird that he's not there or anything like that. I just like did not remember it being shown that he separated himself. It makes all the sense in the world that he did. But like having it, you know, come to the end of the chapter and have me not think about him, I think is what Tabata was going for. So when I turned into this, isn't that right? You know, with him pulling the katana out of the book, I was like, oh yeah. But I just like for a second was like, damn, when did he get over here? Yeah.
The hilt on the katana is fire because it's the Black Bull's logo.
Oh shit.
Like at first I was like, oh, logo is this, and I was like, oh, that's actually the Black Bulls.
Wait, where? I can't even like make it out.
On the scabbard.
You can make it out better on the last Devil Spread.
Yep, last page when they have it up.
Oh.
You can see the horns and stuff.
Sure, hold on.
Yeah.
Black
14-15.
Bulls logo.
And you can see it on his shoulder right there too. You don't even got to look it up. It's on the same page.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I don't, honestly, I'm gonna keep it a stack with y'all. I still don't even see it. But
I see it. Personally.
Thank you.
Like, no, I'm sure it's there, but like for some reason
like
it looks like kanji to me.
True. At first,
On the
really
last double spread, it literally looks like Japanese character, like language characters to me.
Yeah.
Like specifically, like on the right side of the scabbard, on the right side of like the fucking guard.
The blade.
Yeah, no, yeah, like at the where the blade meets the fucking guard, like to the right of that.
Look
that
like
is
kanji.
definitely like says kanji to me. But
yeah, it does look like that.
But then if you go, to the
skull.
yeah, for sure. No, absolutely. I totally see it actually now. I just saw it for sure. But then like if you go to the page before that, like I feel like these are entirely different markings and symbols on the guard of this sword.
Yeah, because if you look
Does
at
not
like
look the
page
same
13,
at all. Yeah.
The mouth is pointed along the bottom of the blade. So if you orient yourself that way, that's where you can see the skull a little faster. But yeah, I like that, and based on his positioning away from Lucifero's incomplete manifestation, in the distance, I think he's gonna do some like EI type like long distance slash like Yami did when
well, it's already out of the sheath, so I don't know if we'll get a
he's
EI
facing
or a Bato Jutsu kind
but
of
he's
attack.
got it, yeah.
But he's definitely about to hit some kind of like, yeah, you know, like it's gonna be some kind of vertical or horizontal dimensional anti-magic slash. Yeah.
He's gonna pull
he hits the dimensional slash right here.
Yeah.
There's no way he could hit the dimensional slash, but he could hit a slash of equal proportion with his anti-magic. You know?
Oh, yeah, that's right. It wouldn't be dimensional because you need, like, you know, dark magic or whatever.
The dark magic.
Who knows? There could be some fucking dark magic loaded up in this sword. No, definitely not. It's just going to be anti-magic. Because, like, it's like, what would that even, like... Dude, can you imagine the timeline if fucking Asta used a dark magic attack out of this sword? Like, as an anti-mage, basically?
Yeah,
like
that'd be insane.
With no magic power. Like it would be cool. Like it would be super hype. I honestly think that I would think that was cool, but I could just totally see Twitter being like, "Oh, so Asta got dark magic now."
He can magic with his other sword, but
what is it?
I think
the one that can store magic and like throw it back.
Oh yeah, and then throw it back. Oh, there's totally like a basis for that.
I was thinking that there was going to be the basis for that because there was that. And with like the black bowl being the hilt, I was wondering if he would be able to do magic that he's like absorbed or seen or stopped before. Like
not seen. No. Like, oh my god, no.
I'm phrasing it poorly, but like
I saw you use that attack before, Gauch. Here's my sword attack with that same power.
In that vein, where like if he's ever like anti-magicked in a spell, that like it's like he's close to them and he understands them, and then like
god,
might be able to do something like that.
Absorbed is like totally the only way that it can go, and like that's a completely different sword. Like this is literally just like the katana version of like stuff. You know. The other stuff, maybe, or maybe it has a completely different function. I don't fucking know. Has he even used this sword for real? Yeah. He used it when Yami threw it to him, and then he grabbed it, and then he sliced Dante, and that was literally just an anti-magic effect, right? Because he was holding it, so he just had a new weapon that he didn't have before because his other swords got like knocked out of his hand or something in the fight, and then Yami was like, "Here's my sword. You have the opening." Boom, and then it was an anti-magic slash with the shape of a katana. So I don't think that this has any specifically new application or any kind of new effect. I think it's
just a long distance anti-magic slash.
He already has that though. He can already send like waves of anti-magic out of like one of his other swords. He can already like kind of like send.
He can like extend that bitch and fucking make it
like,
huge.
Yeah, like I think he's literally just trying to be like, this is Yami's sword. I'm gonna load it with some fucking anti-magic and cut through this thing or something.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's like
this is the slashing sword. This is his,
that's right. This is the sharp one. The other ones aren't sharp or something. They're like dull.
They're more blunt. Shit. Yeah, this is the actual slashing blade.
Yeah, that's right. I think I remember that. Okay. So fine. As long as he's not like, you know, actually using dark magic. Like I said, like I think that would be pretty fucking cool to see, but I can just totally
like I know at least with
like no. Yeah.
With the big heavy one, actually, I think we may have actually seen him cut something with the extendo
Black
version. But
Divider. Yeah.
I know with the actual sword itself, it is blunt because you remember we saw him hit Buddy from the Diamond Kingdom, the Smoke General,
Yeah.
cracked him in the side of his shit, and
Oh
it
yeah.
didn't cut him. It just broke his fucking arm and broke his ribs and shit.
Yeah, but then
Yeah, pulled
also
a
you're right
Batman on him.
though, because he goes into Black Divider to cut through the demon when the last time
Exactly.
and he cut through that shit like fucking butter.
So the anti magic
So-
has different properties than the actual blade itself. So he can really probably cut, with any of the blades through, or maybe because the
Yeah, but now that makes me
which
wonder
one is the
like,
first one, the
if
big
you
wide
got
one. That one's probably the only one he can imbue with it to that degree.
But now I'm wondering, like, if you have Black Divider and you fucking literally sliced through the demon earlier in the arc, like with Black Divider, like no difficulty, like literally like hot knife to butter, then it's like, I don't know, like, is this Yami sword going to give you better cutting power than that? Because like that feels weird to me. I want to say I don't fucking know. Maybe it doesn't, but it's just like. It's like if this
Maybe
is, it's like if the reason
actual-
you're using this Yami sword is because it's the slashing, slicing.
I mean, maybe
shit.
the actual ability of the sword to slash at a base level could make it more amplified.
I
in a way.
wonder if he's going to supplement this using like a devil contract magic, like to
Yeah, like what does this sword even let him do? Like this has got to just
I
be
have
like
no
shout out to
idea.
Yami, I'm killing him with your weapon.
He
But
does
then,
look
like-
like a little Yami.
Yeah, but then like if that's the case, it's like why are you making a decision like that? Like when you like have a weapon that you are way more proficient in that like gives you, all the cutting power that you kind of need or that you kind of needed up until this point. Like you're literally like risking so much just to say shout out to Yami. Like there's got to be something I'm missing here. There's totally got to be something I'm missing here as to why this is the sword he wants to use here. Like there's got to be a more practical application of this than just like this is for you, Yami. You know what I mean?
I feel like it's gonna be a fusion of like his regular anti-magic and then Liba is going to use his like contract devil magic to like manipulate the shape of it, and then they're gonna do something that is like very similar to what Yami does, and then
Okay.
by doing that, like that's how I feel like that's gonna end up panning out. Especially after like all the work they've done with like the contract magic and like the boot camp with Noct
Yeah.
and stuff. So I feel like I really want this to pay out, because like the Bull Zord is fucked.
Yeah, the Bullzord. Yeah. But Liba does look ready for action on my man's shoulder right now. Like, you look at
Yeah.
my little goat, bro. I wonder what he's going to do.
He's a
But,
little guy. He's ready to ruin someone's day.
yeah.
But like, I mean, Lieb's like whole motivation was, I want the greatest of devils to be brought low. I resent them.
Yeah.
So like,
So what is it
it's
just going to
good.
be like Lucifero standing, like he already like kind of like defeated the Megazord, Asta standing here with the Slash. Like what is the next chapter going to be? Like is there going to be any choreography or is it just going to be like dialogue back and forth until he, sends the fucking crazy sword slash at him and just cuts him and like wins?
Does
or something?
like kind of like Return of Zorro kind of thing, where he just uses the blade in such a way with such finesse that he manages like to cut away Yami and Vengeance out of the core, and then
While also dealing enough damage.
stupid amount of damage. He's like, I've done damage and cut everything, and it's just like Swiss cheesed everywhere, and then it's like little sphere right here where they leave him alone. They're like, hey, we didn't want to get this. Okay, Noct, save them, please, before he reforms.
Oh Jesus.
I feel like it could easily become something like that.
Okay.
I don't
So I
know.
mean, we could get a new application of the sword here right now in the wiki. It's saying like basically what happens is that he coats the sword in anti-magic and it like augments the slashing attacks, dealing heavier damage.
That's really the description on it?
During
The
their fight with-
anti-magic
it
makes
says-
it sharper?
It says Demon Slasher Katana. During their fight with Dante Zogratis, Yami Sukahiro lends Asta his katana. Asta's devil arm coats the sword in anti-magic, enabling it to deal heavy damage to Dante and to knock him unconscious. Afterward, the sword enters in and is stored in his grimoire.
Sure. Okay. So yeah, Yami throws in the sword. Like in Yami's hands, this is like not just an amazing. I'm sure this is like an amazingly crafted katana or whatever. I don't know if we'll ever get information about the crafting of this sword or the
He broke
smithing
it
of this
earlier
sword.
in the story, so it's
Sure. Okay. So this is just Yami's sword that's only really scary like that because Yami is brandishing it with dark magic. Then he gives it to, Asta. The dark magic effect is no longer apparent in it, and now it's just the anti-magic effect. So it's literally just like another extension of matter for the fucking anti-magic to encompass and, be a medium for, right? So it's like, that just goes back to my question of like, why use this sword right now? It's like you're literally fighting a giant thing that your team has created a Megazord to box, and it's like you literally have a way bigger sword with adequate enough cutting power from what we've seen already. It's like, why not just like use Black Divider here? You just want to shout out Yami? That feels so weird to me. Like there's got to be, but like also like what else would you add to this that like actually makes sense as far as like an application of of power inside of a character like Asta. Like all he can do is just give this thing anti-magic, so it's literally just a sword with anti-magic to him. And it's just like,
that's
why are
I
you
feel
relying
like
on this right
Neba's
now?
gonna do something like give him wings or something. I don't know.
Whatever.
But yeah. So kind of weird thing that I was like looking at. This is really the only thing I have left.
Yeah.
But design-wise, if you look at like page 11 and you see like Lucifero fused with like the Klopoth tree and stuff, doesn't it kind of remind you of he was in One Piece. He was like the Thunder Logia guy.
Enel
Yeah,
Eneru,
and
or
he
whatever.
was the one with like observation hockey and stuff.
Yeah.
But
Mantra
like
back
the
then.
drums,
Yeah.
like the three big drums
Raijin,
like floating
yeah.
behind him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I
the
like
taiko
it
drums.
gave me it gave me those kind of vibes where it's like
Oh,
like
okay. I see what you're talking about now. Like on the top of
the,
11.
the plants, like the cluster tree gnarled branches kind of remind me of like those taiko drums
Sure.
floating behind. You see them in a lot of like Japanese character design.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's kind of interesting. But other than that, I think I've covered pretty much everything that I can possibly cover in this chapter.
Yeah, that's all I had for Black Clover 2 for the final review.
Yeah, I think that's about all I had as well. So
Cheers, Black Clover.
Shout out
Cheers, Black Clover.
A lot of ups and
Shouts out
downs.
Tabata.
Shout out Tabata. In the history of our coverage, this, at least for me, has been something that has been such a roller coaster of appreciation and disappointment. So like, as from an analyst like point of view, I feel like we got like so many different kinds of conversations, positive and negative, whatever. Like that's like what the meat and potatoes of this fucking show is like about, is like interpreting things in our own way, having conversations about them, changing our minds when new information is kind of submitted, like either in comment section form or in conversation form. You know what I mean? Like we've had a lot of really badass conversations about Black Clover over the years, despite like where it's kind of gone in the last couple of months to a year of the reviews here. But like at the end of the day, like Tabata's a very hardworking mangaka. You can tell he fucking loves this shit. You know what I mean? Like he really lives for this shit. He really believes in his story and he really tries his best on it. And
Puts in the miles for sure.
I respect the fuck out of that, despite like all of the issues that I seem to have with it. Like Black Clover, I've been here since chapter 1. We've been here since chapter 1. You know what I mean? So we got a lot of love for this series.
Yeah. Well, with that, I think we can go ahead and get into chapter 335 of Boku no Hero Academia, My Hero Academia. Chapter 335, Zygotes.
Fuck yeah.
And we get this nice cover of All Might holding the egg, the zygote egg, hatching, nurturing and hatching his eggs of the future heroes. You know what I'm saying?
Symbolisms.
Yeah.
Symbolism in that bitch.
Delicate.
This chapter was
Yes.
good because it showed like, just kind of jumping ahead a little bit, it like shows the kind of like evil lair hideout, perspective of the villains. I feel like we haven't really gotten this perspective in a while. You know what I mean? As far like we've spent so much time, with just the ominous nature of All for One and his faction, the mystery and the uncertainty related to like what they're cooking up and what they're planning in the background. Obviously that gives us a lot of really cool payoffs inside of like the kind of crazy things that end up happening that always ended up being according to All for One's plan. I feel like a lot of that potency in the storytelling comes from just how mysterious his planning has kind of been. You know what I mean? You always like the heroes will hit him with a strategy and then they'll kind of win but kind of fail, and then you'll get the smirk panel of All for One like, I anticipated this. You know what I mean? But like eventually you have to show their side, you know, of the battle lines and see like what they're talking about behind the scenes eventually. So this is right on time for my hero, in my opinion. We've gotten enough of, you know, All for One, you know what I mean? Like we've gotten enough of that kind of you know, expectation subversion now, especially coming out of the Star and Stripe fight where that kind of veil had been shattered. You know what I mean? Like you finally see All for One like kind of irritated with the way something went down. Things happened outside of his expectations. It's, you know, you see the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain now kind of a little bit, so you should show what the lair looks like and see how they kind of process the L that they just took. So this was right on time in Hero for me.
Yeah. Definitely.
Oh, man.
And I love just the like, you know, before a huge conflict like this, to get like this layout of the forces and kind of who's on whose side, and just the paneling through this that we get of like Shigaraki, All for One, boom, Dabi, Toga, and the Nomus and shit, like as All Might's kind of telling the students about how it's going to go down, what they need to do, and even like the heroes that we get, kind of like the remnants of who's left on our side.
Yep.
This like portion of the chapter from like page 2 through 5, 6, really, all the way into page 10.
Yep.
And obviously the students are like really holding their ground and saying like, you look, we got this, we're gonna put this on our shoulders and we're gonna do the best we can. You don't even got to tell us, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And obviously the symbolism we get on the chapter cover kind of takes bloom here as he's watching the students getting hyped up.
Yeah, you could feel the growth, bro. Like Ojiro just throwing the jacket on, like, oh, okay, so this is what we got to do if we need to take these guys down. And Mineta, you know, like casually, like fucking with his balls, like, what y'all talking about? All right, we getting ready to run up on these people, you know what I mean? And everybody just seems so calm and like so, you know, just ready for action. Whereas like previous scenes similar to this earlier in their development would show a lot more anxiety, a lot more worry, a lot more like, you know, confusion. Whereas now it's going into like, you know, the bigger scale conflict, you know, than what we've seen in the series so far. And everyone's just like so ready to get after it. You know what I mean? And it's just like, this obvious growth in the visual, you know, storytelling of it as well as the dialogue.
Yeah, and the inner monologue that we get from All Might here was like super like heavy and weighty for me, because he's just sitting back there thinking like, man, these guys have really matured, like they've really come into their own. They're more than I expected them to be at this point, like by far, leaps and bounds. And that like the inner monologue, like I said, that he has to himself, he's like, the zygotes that I met that day have long since hatched. They refused to succumb to the raging storm, and now they spread their wings to reassure me. All for one, I'll say it again, you made a foolish move, because Class 1A is a mighty force to behold. Know that, All for one. Like,
but he don't.
He don't.
He don't get it. Yeah.
But, oh, that was just so powerful to me.
Beautiful.
And like,
it's
probably
poetry.
a huge moment for him as well, because he spent all these years like shouldering everything and like saying like, I'm the one who has to be this symbol of peace. And now he's struggling with like that dichotomy of being so weak in his current form, not being able to shoulder that burden anymore, and having to pass that off to other people, not really trusting them, you know, necessarily.
And he also struggles like as a mentor to these children, because he's stated multiple times throughout the series that he's not really good at teaching people how to do the things that he's good at. You know what I mean? Like, he can provide his experience, he can provide, you know, anecdotal, you know, references, you know, to whatever situations that they're in while they're training. But like, he's not an actually like academically adept,
not
you know.
good at fostering that.
Yeah, you know, and on top of that, he had huge secrets that he was keeping for half the fucking series. So he was juggling the fact that he couldn't tell them everything with the fact that he's not really good at telling them things in the first place. And it just created, like, you know, such a beautiful character that we have inside of Toshinori now. I feel like he's one of the most, you know, vivid, you know, characters in as far as writing goes throughout, like low key, you know what I mean? Like, obviously there are some other characters that come more to mind, but the subtle, you know, development and growth of All Might's character in the background has just been, like, really beautiful to notice throughout the series.
Oh man, so there was a moment where, like, in the series when he was still like the buff All Might teacher, he had a book in the back of his pocket and Aizawa spied it and it said like teaching for dummies.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah, so I was just like, and like also like you're right, like he was holding a lot of secrets into himself, and I feel like Toshinori Yagi was kind of that classic eponymous secret identity having like Western style hero.
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man, a lot of the early Spider-Man stuff, you know, a lot of his anguish was the fact that he couldn't confide into anybody else, like, and like share any part of his life, and that caused his personal relationships to deteriorate.
Right.
Like, and that worked with Toshinori Yagi too, because he didn't have relationships outside of being All Might. And even then, he was very aloof. And like, oh, I'll make a joke, I'll make him laugh, and then I'm gonna fucking bounce. Like, you know, he wasn't really close to people. Even like Night Eye, right? Like, he distanced himself from the people that could have helped him. So I like that. And like, it makes sense because like it contrasts very well to like AFO's, you know, comment to Dobby, where it's just like, you know, what I have that you lack are friends to spare.
That shit's fucking wild. I loved the progression of the conversation. Like, let's talk about that for a second, but I just want to go from like, from page 11 to the final page on 15 is just like so, and I've read the chapter a couple times now, and just like the progression of it just feels so natural, like leading into the reveal on the last page. Like, it doesn't feel like okay, we've had the conversation at hand that we're going to, and also we have a trader that works for us. You know what I mean? It was very well led into from a writing perspective, because it ties into the conversation that he's directly having with Dobby as he's entering kind of like, you know, a rebellious state of character in this chapter. So like, it was just cool, you know what I mean, the way that it played out.
I thought, like you said earlier, it was really cool seeing this scene with the villains and seeing like kind of this side of All for One that we haven't seen before. And I thought a cool dichotomy within that point is that we're like not only seeing the calm, collected All Might in a light that we've never seen him before, or not All Might, but All for One in a light that we've never seen him before. But we're also really getting a look into his real feelings about the situation through Shigaraki, because he's saying like our minds are melding at this point, and like these emotions are my emotions. This is my rage. I'm sharing this rage.
Yeah.
So we're getting a look into like, I don't know, like,
it's a very good point you're bringing up here, because
if Shigaraki were not here, like kind of being this
the representation
for him,
yeah,
would he be like turning up a little more? I'd kind of like,
would he be calm?
Would he still be as calm as the faceless one of them is?
Yeah.
Or would he be kind of like pissed like, you know, Shigaraki is?
That's a
is this the separation of like ego and id, like a form of like Jekyll and Hyde? Because they're fusing their minds, they represent two different outlets for one of the things. Whereas like AFO is more of the rational, logical left brain self, whereas Shigaraki's more of like the right brain emotional outlet.
Wow.
I like that a lot.
Okay.
Incredible.
I had to like kind of rephrase that, because I was like, oh yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down. But also like, AFO is chilling in the fact that like they're sharing that rage, and he still has like the wherewithal to fucking baby Shigaraki.
It's like,
they're there for the best, you know. But we've cleared it away. It was past our most, so let that light in your heart. No sense in dwelling on a single failed plot.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like,
honestly, the conversation that we're having right now, just like the emotional intelligence that that All for One possesses, it just adds to how formidable of an enemy this is
Yes.
for the
The dialogue
protagonist.
here,
Yeah, like this
so
is
fire.
crazy. Like he has every reason in the world to be like wildly upset, and he is, because we know that through Shigaraki. But the fact that like this is a shared vestigial kind of link that they have with each other, like even if Shigaraki is the representative for his rage and all of these other negative emotions, like he All for One is still feeling that while balancing, you know, rationality and, you know, calmness for the sake of the situation, for the sake of saving face in front of, you know, his subordinates, so that he can keep morale, instruct, and like maintain that regal, imposing, you know, kind of outward exterior
Stance,
presence.
yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's just wild that he's like this complete of a villain and character inside of My Hero Academia, despite the fact that he's gotten like drastically less screen time than like pretty much
Yeah.
everyone else. You know what I
He's
mean?
an
So
extremely well-rounded villain.
yeah.
I know we talked about why he's my favorite
Hmm.
in the 3K stream. Um,
Hmm.
but like I always think about All for One in that he has like I think he's like a form of sociopath because like in that moment where he's like, our minds are fusing. I can sense that much. That violent rage. Yes, I share Tamura's hatred right now. And it's almost as if he's like, what's this feeling? I'm not used to feelings.
Oh, sure.
Ah, yes, I understand now. I
That makes it
understand.
even more impressive then, if that's the case, because now these are new emotions that he's not used to, and he's still able to keep as level of a head as he needs to in this situation to communicate everything he
Yeah.
needs to everybody else in the room, while
I
not,
feel
you
like
know,
he has
acting
like a
out of
very
character to
muted
them.
sense of emotions
Yeah,
because he definitely seems pleased and self-satisfied with a lot of things. And then he likes to like poke at people to see their reactions, to see emotions. So like I feel like that's a big thing, but like his emotional intelligence is drastic even for a sociopathic character. Like
that's right.
to understand another person like that. And the thing is, like, we know that like he's able to share his powers and stuff and have that vestigial thing. So for how long has he been kind of like observing people's motions vicariously through his own quirk?
Wow, dog. Holy
You
shit.
know, like it makes me think because he's lasted forever, right?
Hmm.
Like he's an old boy, old boy, old boy. You know, so it's like there's
Yeah.
that thing. Um,
I always forget that
and
he's old as shit.
yeah,
That's like the easiest thing for me to forget about All for One's character, and that has so much to do with everything we're talking about right now.
how
He's
calm
like
he is.
hundreds and
He's seen it
hundreds of
all
years.
before.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
I mean, I don't even know what kind of jaded I would be if I lived for like 200 years, you
Straight
know?
up,
Like,
you know, that's a really good point. And like, how many, you know, stories have we read about in fiction with characters that are immortal that like go through this exact same area of their character arc? You know what I mean? Like, especially in something like UQ Holder, where the superpower, like chakra or Nen, is immortality in that series. You know what I mean? You get a lot of introspective kind of you know, looks at how immortal people kind of like deal with how long they've lived in the story, you
yeah.
know, and they all kind of always kind of come to, you know, they converge into a, you know, a similar point in their character writing where they are kind of jaded, they are kind of numb to things that seem normal, you know, and reflexive to people like us that only live like 80 to 100 years max, you know what I mean? So it's really cool to think about. I always forget he's old as shit, man.
hmm I mean, it just speaks to like how he's had a long time to develop that kind of emotional nuance and
Yeah.
sophistication.
Hmm.
Um, and like, oh man, I kind of want to skip. I like the base. It's in the mountains and stuff, and it kind of touches on what happened at the tail end of the Star and Stripes arc, where those bad guys that like Shigaraki All for One just messed up.
Hmm.
They are talking like, oh man, all these other prison breakers, they're idiots. If you are a smart guy, you avoid the cities. You're not going to be found. Go out to the boonies where no one's going to be around. And where is All for One? In the boonies.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
he's pulling a Bin Laden, holed up in a cave system, got some supplies, lots of crates,
Yeah.
and that explains where like Dobby's been, just chilling, like making sure that like nobody's found it.
Yeah, it's like, how have there not been any sightings? And it's like, well, they're underground, so
So I do like
super
that
tucked
a
away.
lot. Yeah. Can I just like point at like a little bit of the art here that I
Yes,
quite like?
absolutely.
On 2 and 3, I think that like they have the moment where like they have Rock Lock and the Wild Pussycats, Gang Orca, Fat Gum, Mr. Wash,
Yep.
Edgeshot, Mount Lady, like what was it
Golden
Kamui
Kamui.
Woods, and
Yeah.
then
Oh
one of
my
my
god, I
favorites.
said Golden Kamui. Kamui
Yeah.
Wood.
Yeah. And then
Just didn't
my
say
favorite
go.
of like the background characters besides Gang Orca is Manuel, the guy with the
Yep.
fin.
Yeah,
And he's just this
Manual.
dude with water powers. He's just this random dude. He's like, why do you call him Manuel? He's like, oh no, I feel like everyone should have like a hero that's like just kind of average and like I'm doing my thing. And I like that like a dude who's just like, I want to set a good example for an everyday kind of hero
Yeah,
is still grinding that out after all the backlash
yeah.
against hero society. So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was really satisfying to see
That
like
is cool to
an
see
everyman
Manuel
kind
there.
of
He's
like
not like wildly popular, you know what I mean? Like he is like that guy. He is very important. He was the one that kept,
he's
you
like a
know,
neighborhood
well
guy.
he played like a big role in the Paranormal Liberation War, bro. Like wasn't he the one that was keeping Aizawa's eyes moistened?
Yep.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
that
he
dude
did.
is a war hero of heroes. Like you're literally like this is One Punch Man, you'd be like C class. You'd be like
He survived
licenseless rider
Gigantomachia.
tier. Yeah, yeah, you know what
He
I mean?
survived
Like
Gigantomachia.
Movement
yeah, so
rider.
Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
licenseless Moomin rider head ass, you know what I mean? So it's like that's really
Hmm.
cool to see him here. But like Kohei's really good at that. And I've talked about this before. You know, we've talked about this before inside of these reviews, especially like at the end of the Liberation War when it showed the list of everybody that had passed away during the conflict. And people on, you know, the internet are like, who are these people? Like, who are these characters? Like, why do I care that they died? And it's like, you know, maybe it's not all about whether you care that they died or not, because like we've seen enough of societal reaction to everything that happens inside of My Hero Academia, positive or negative, that I feel like the society and the public are a character, you know,
Yeah.
in My Hero Academia. So it's like fucking Exless was somebody's favorite hero. You know what I mean? Crust was
Yeah.
somebody's fucking favorite hero. Whether or not you cared about the character at the time of their death doesn't mean that the world around the protagonist wasn't like drastically affected by their passing in ways that like we could very easily see it affecting the main cast. You know what I mean? Like that went directly
Yeah.
into, you know, the reaction that society had after the war, the characters that died, the characters that stepped down thereafter because of the death of their colleagues. Like that shit permeates like deeper than your immediate reaction to the information. So it's like I don't know. I was kind of long-winded, but like, man, seeing Manuel
I'm
here
picking up what you're putting down.
is
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah, it
cool,
felt
man.
good.
You know what I mean? Like,
It was
regardless of how you
a
feel about
little
him as a
thing.
character and whether or not he like fits in this montage on this panel on 3, like the motherfucker is
He's
still
earned his
here.
place.
You know, after everything that happened, like that's a really like warming feeling. You know what I mean? After
Yeah,
everything that
number
we've seen.
9, Kabuto dropped out, you know?
Yeah, straight
Even
up.
like Death
Yeah.
Fist Gorilla,
Yeah,
like
Death Arms
Death Grip
fucking
Gorilla,
left, and he was
Death
a
Arms.
G. Like he was like not corrupted. He was there on the front line, like handling like outer
He was
perimeter
ready.
like villains when the Paranormal
He was like, I
Liberation War
can't
was
handle the
happening.
hate, man.
Yeah, he was
He couldn't
always
handle the
there. Like,
rejection.
yeah, it's not just a bunch of heroes you never heard of before hanging up their fucking shit because like whatever. Like no, actual heroes that have been here since the beginning of the series that you always remember in the back of your head like
Yeah.
are stepping down even though you know they're legitimate heroes. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. I really wanted to touch on 4 and 5 because I love the
Yeah.
little close-ups on things. Dobby's face just went, just the kind of
Yeah.
troll ass face. He's
Yeah,
like,
like
yeah, you
almost
smell my
Bakugo.
farts, yeah, you know.
Whoa, what?
No, because he's giving you that look like he just like you're in an elevator with a guy and he just farts and he just turns around and he's just like like he's that guy.
I'm smacking the shit out of it.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm about to body slam that motherfucker for that.
Exactly,
If
but
I
like
turn
look at that
around,
shit-eating grin.
if I smell shit in an elevator and I turn around and some dude is looking at me like this,
It's the minkening.
It's
yo,
fights. It's fights.
me, run me my 30.
Dude, no, seriously, but I love that face because he's so awful, and that's just a nice, disgusting, trolly face.
Yeah.
But I also see like I'm on Twitter, so I see a lot of like pretty boy Dabi fan art, and I'm like, no, he's kind of repugnant, like as a person. Stop making him hot. Like,
well, he has. I mean, like he did. Like, man, Kohei's pen can just like easily like show someone in such an attractive light or such a horrific light at any moment. You know what I mean? Like he's so versatile in that way with his art. Like there are so many panels where we've seen Dabi, despite his disfiguration and despite his like whatever. Fucking like he'd be looking cool as shit sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Like
no, he's the babe of the burn ward.
Yeah, dead ass. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like he's so.
But I like this where he's a little more gruesome, you know.
Yeah.
I appreciate that in his character.
Yeah, he can look super gruesome at times, and it totally makes sense too. On top of that, yeah.
Oh man, like and like I really liked looking at the near high end dudes, because like I liked the one with all the spikes up the front, and it looks like the Nomu version of like
Best Jeanist. Yeah.
There's like the one with like the Maruko kind of antlers, and then I liked the one with like the large like teeth as like kind of like a gorget, like a piece of armor, and it reminded me of Crust, to be honest.
Oh really? I can't see Crust yet. I don't know.
Or 13.
Ooh, okay. I see 13 a little bit easier.
I see 13 a little better, yeah. But like I thought Crust had, I remember one of the heroes had like this kind of like cowl gorget kind of looking thing, and that's what it's bringing back. I think I'm getting the name wrong, and I'm just using Crust because that's what I remember.
Yeah. I can't. I'm honestly, I'm gonna be useless here right now. I can't remember any character like that off the top of my head.
No, it's all right.
But dude, the Mirko and the Best Jeanist shit is like spot on, bro.
It's so good. They're goofy looking. I love them. I love the Nomus. They're like one of my favorite types of bad guys in this series. Yeah. Even though I'm a slut for like political, social commentary series. Yeah. And then, other than the art like this, I think that the Remnants of the Liberation Front, the kind of like dollar store version of Cementos in the background, just looking like I sniff glue, you know. He's just like, bro, dude. He doesn't look good. He doesn't look healthy.
Why are his eyes
may or may not. He might be having a stroke right now. His name is Cement Toast. His power is a stroke.
He said, "I sniff glue."
Dude, he looks goofy.
I don't know why that's sending me right now.
So,
like, if he becomes serious and terrifying, I'm gonna eat my hat. I don't know, but like, he doesn't look tough.
That's just, it's like the Doodle Bob version of Cementos. Okay, I'm sorry, Eagle. Yeah. What are you trying to say?
I'm just saying, you know,
let's talk about Hagakure.
Let's talk about the ending of this chapter. The biggest thing. I feel like there's a lot to unpack.
I want to save that for last.
Yeah, that's where we're at here.
Okay, so I just feel like there's a lot to unpack with this. Like,
there is.
So first off, like, the theories are true.
Yeah.
There was a lot of speculation and theories over the years that Hagakure was the traitor based on her ability.
Yeah.
Kiko in the past on the show had speculated that it could be Koda based on his ability to like send a little fly in there and have the fly communicate to him what was going on in the room.
Wait, how would the fly do that? He'd have to send like an army of ants to spell out a specific message like on the floor, because he can't make the bugs talk to Shigaraki or All For One.
No, but Koda could use them to scout.
He can use telepathy to hear what the bug is.
He can Aquaman them.
Oh, and then Koda himself would go meet up with them and say
that.
Right. But see, like, okay, that's totally fine. Yeah.
It's Hagakure confirmed, and so like this just for me. Like, what relation does she have to All For One, obviously? Like, is it a daughter situation, possibly? Or is it just another kind of, like, lackey, henchman?
Well, it's all about, like, what leverage.
Over the years.
It's all about,
possibly.
Yeah, it's going to be a leverage thing. It's like, there's going to be because we have, like, so little development for Hagakure as a character, like we're about to start getting all of that justification for this betrayal, like in the next couple of chapters, or at least the next chapter
Yes, I'm
immediately.
legitimately
So
very interested in the reason.
yeah, it's definitely going to be some kind of, something that you would expect, but written, really deep and nuanced like Kohei usually does. Like, it's probably going to be something along the lines of, you know, something related to her living situation, like either inside of her immediate family. Well, no, because Ochako is the one that's broke, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, it
Yeah.
Well,
can't be
I
like a
mean,
money motivation of any kind. It has to be some kind of like moral or vengeance, or not vengeance related, but like some kind of emotional,
it has to be something
situation.
emotional because we
Yeah.
have things where like he goes to the guy who feels uh wronged for being a heteromorphic and he gets hate crimed and stuff, and so he takes away that quirk, right? And then he goes to gives the quirk to a guy who feels powerless and weak, so he swaps their quirks, right? So what if Hagakure, her original quirk isn't invisibility? Like I
I love
imagine
where
that
you're
what
going with
if
this.
so I think that like if it were me, right? I don't know if this is gonna be a thing, but like this is what my brain came up with. Um, her face gets disfigured,
And so she
and she
wants
doesn't want to see
invisibility.
herself anymore,
But that would mean that
or
she would have
like
to have been in contact with All for One since the very beginning of the series, because we met her in like episode 1 or 2 or some shit like that, or like chapter one
I
or
mean they're high
two.
school kids. I
So
mean
like,
he All for One's been around for a long
and
time.
that's fine. I'm just saying like that would have to have been a thing since before the series started, which is going to be like really crazy information to get. But it also works like on the flip. You know what I mean? Like, what if she is tired of the invisibility quirk because she isn't seen, she doesn't feel like a real person, whatever kind of introspective writing that we're going to get for her character,
Oh
and she's like,
yeah,
All for One can take me out of this situation if I help him and give me a different quirk so that I can be seen and still have superpowers in a different
be the hero I was
capacity.
supposed to be.
Yeah, or something like
That kind
that.
of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that would be really good because those are both really solid answers. I just feel like it's like, what if a person's like hates their appearance to the point that they're like, I don't want to see myself anymore.
Yeah,
He's like, bet,
yeah.
but you're gonna have to pay me back, or I'm gonna make you visible again.
Something
And
like
then
that. Yeah.
that's enough leverage for someone like that. That's like, yeah, no. And then she's a great spy. It works really well. Like,
Apparently there's a lot of foreshadowing set up for this, because a lot of people, like,
yeah.
this is a very polarizing chapter inside of the community, honestly. Like,
Oh, yeah.
this is one of the more
I bet.
polarizing reactions that I've seen to a chapter of My Hero Academia in a while. You know what I mean? So as
Yeah.
far as like the reveal goes, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are overreacting about it. I feel like a lot of people had their ideas of what exactly was happening here. Some people, kind of resigned to the idea that Kohei had forgotten about this plot point or wasn't ever going to actually do anything with it. I think that that's always been like a ridiculous stance on it. Like, just because you're ready to see it and it hasn't happened yet, and you think that it's like beyond the amount of time that it should take to reveal this kind of thing, doesn't mean the fucking author forgot about a
But
drastic plot
yeah,
point
I
from
mean,
150 fucking chapters ago. So like, I never agreed with that,
yeah.
but like inside of like the actual reveal being underwhelming to some people, I think that that's honestly just like you wanted it to be someone else. It wasn't the person that you
Yeah.
swore it was, and you're upset about that. So you're saying it's buns. Like, get the fuck over yourself if that's the case. Like, that's mad
Yeah.
pretentious, bro. Like, grow the fuck up. But like, either way, like if there's foreshadowing and setup for it, awesome. That helps it. Otherwise, just the fact that her quirk is so perfect for this is enough. You know what I mean? Like, we
It
haven't
makes
gotten any
sense.
fucking writing for her. She's been super low key in the background, waiting for this kind of moment in the plot. Like, so just let's just see what the fuck Kohei has to say about it.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
I feel like
Um,
my mind is going a lot of places with this. Like, I'm even thinking like, as far as we know, on record, her quirk is invisibility or whatever. But we've gotten like abilities from her that kind of point to different shit. Like, she has abilities that utilize like light refraction,
yeah,
Hmm.
bending
specifically light
light,
refraction.
things that point more towards like prisms and glass and shit like that. And like, just with this art, the way it's like, the way it's shown, he's like, I have friends to spare or whatever. There's like a light in the distance, and then it shows his eye kind of zooming in on the school and then into Hagakure. And I'm thinking, like, what if her quirk is a totally fucking different thing than we ever could have, like, imagined or was, led on by her? And it has to, like, what if her quirk is, like, instead of invisibility, it's, like, prism or, like, looking glass, and she can fucking bestow...
Project.
But either...
Psionically transfer her memories and thoughts
routes,
to another person.
You can go two routes with it. You can either go the route Mello was going, where All for One bestowed upon her what she thought was an invisibility quirk, but is actually a looking glass type of ability that like makes somebody a glass fucking thing that he can look through when he chooses, or her ability is completely different than we ever thought, which is what I kind of like more. And she can bestow upon somebody the ability to look through her looking glass and like see what she's seeing, hear what she's, what's around her.
Yeah.
And she's actually a type of glass prism instead of just an invisible person.
Sure. That requires like so many assumptions though about
I
like things that haven't been
like,
explained yet. Yeah.
Obviously, but
yeah. No. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Yeah, like that's totally an idea. Absolutely. But there's just like, it's like, man, that would require almost as insane of an explanation as fucking New Order, which is like this is just so unlike any quirk that we've seen before, based on the explanation that you just kind of gave. I'm not saying that it's not. Yeah.
I think it's more like when he's looking doing and like it has that like horizon yard stare. Yeah. It's more like it's the vestigial part of All for One's connection to her that he's like looking to her, right? Like he's focusing his attention to that remnant, that thread, to his spy who has this light bending ability that allows her to be invisible.
I mean, he did have this kind of vision in the war we saw. That's why he was able to track Deku, is because he can see kind of like quirks as little dots, and then Deku's was the brightest. And this one is kind of shining.
Might still be Surge. Damn.
Just as bright. Oh, it could be Surge.
I think it's, yeah.
But then why is he not seeing other lights?
That's what I'm saying. I think it's just a cinematic effect to show like the distance that's being traveled to reveal the traitor. You know what I mean? Like we're covering, like we're all the way over here, and just like I can already see the anime scene of this narration over, the panning of the camera closer and closer to Yue until it eventually shows Hagakure. You know what I mean? So like I wasn't really necessarily seeing it as something that was ability related at first. You know what I mean? I thought of it just entirely as like a cinematic, effect in the composition.
Cinematically with the way it's shown, can't you see the camera?
Yeah.
Zooming in through his eye.
Yeah,
that's almost the way it's shown.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going through his eye into the.
Yeah. Yeah. It totally. What you're saying totally is, like I can see the vision, fam. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering like what that would require in the storytelling to kind of like build off of or continue from this point. You know what I mean?
A lot, but it would be a huge reveal.
It would be a drastic
reveal. Could present it and explain it in a way that would make it make sense.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Oh, man. Because, like, you were talking about there was foreshadowing, like
somewhat like that's what people were saying. I don't know any of it off the top of my head, but like people were saying like, oh, I was right, here's all the evidence. I saw threads on the timeline that I didn't like read or whatever, but I was like, oh, okay, cool. I like took like mental note of it or whatever.
I skimmed through a few of them, and there was the moment where Shigaraki runs into Deku in that busy marketplace and puts his hand on his neck, and he's like, hey, we're gonna have a talk.
Yeah, I remember that scene.
It was Hakure's idea to go shopping before the big camping trip.
Oh shit! Yeah, shit like that, dude.
Yeah,
and I saw that reminds me of like people saying that Aoyama's involved too to some degree, and that like there was foreshadowing inside of like his at least knowledge of who the traitor was to some degree. I think is what the Aoyama stuff was based on. But there might be some Aoyama involvement. Basically, is what the theories are saying right now that I've noticed. So.
It might be interesting because he says he has friends to spare. What if there's more than one traitor?
Yeah, there's definitely that line of dialogue too there, and I don't remember exactly what the I don't remember exactly what like the fan scan said. I wish I had like the fan scan up just to compare that. I think I can look it up even. But like, yeah, the plural friends is a big deal too.
Because that would be really interesting if it was Aoyama and Hagakure, because they both have quirks that are not truly beneficial to them.
Sure. That yeah, they do have pretty intense caveats to their abilities, more so than like most other people. Like Denki has a pretty drastic setback too. But like outside of like Denki, Aoyama, and Hagakure, and like even Mineta, since he like takes physical damage when he uses like bleedy,
Too much,
like bleedy, like ouchy damage, you know what I
when
mean?
he
Like
stresses his roots.
yeah, but like outside of that, like everyone seems to just be able to spam their shit for the most part at this point. So yeah.
Yeah.
And harbor like resentment, yeah.
Man.
Or
like I don't know, because like at the same time it would be interesting if like Aoyama has like, I had a suspicion on you, but I could never prove it. You know, so I could definitely see that thing, and maybe Aoyama comes to save the day when Hagakure has a floating knife, buck naked, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, see, in the
see that
fan
happening.
scan, I just pulled it up. In the fan scan, the final page says, I have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
So, like, no matter which way you slice it, like, there is that possibility that he's talking about more than one person. But it could also, just for the sake of, like, semantically in the conversation, like, it could still just be one person. You know what I mean?
You're
Because
right.
like friends
Davi
could
is a
be
lonely fuck.
friends could be you guys plus this person and still be plural. You know what I mean? So yeah. So like it definitely doesn't have to be more than one, but like that uncertainty there is like what has people talking, I'm pretty sure, which is really cool. Really well done by Kohei in that way.
yeah.
That's it for me though.
Yeah, I think that's about all I had for Hero as well.
Yeah, I'm good too.
Great chapter.
Incredible
All
chapter.
right. Well, with that, I think we can go ahead and move into the final chapter of the night, the Piece de l'Existence, chapter 1033 of One Piece. Big chapter, Shimotsuki Koza Budo.
Flames.
Big Zoro hours.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers think I hate Zoro, but I love my fans. Let's go, Big Zoro fucking hours this chapter. But let's get this
I love
covered.
it. Yeah, I love that it's Tashigi on the cover, bro.
Yes.
Like,
And
that's
Smoker,
like that's so relevant right now.
I don't care about Smoker, but
Whoa, dude, I love Smoker.
They're a team.
Smoker's
They're a
alright. He's washed.
team.
He is washed as fuck, but
didn't even learn armament hockey until he was like fucking 30 or something.
bro,
Thought
like,
he was
Hey.
big shit
Yeah, I
on
think he older than
fucking
that.
Logue Town and
Yeah.
something got pulled up on by a fucking real motherfucker and was like
yeah, that's pretty sad.
dragon son.
That's the lesson. Don't join the military if you want to learn something cool.
I don't know. I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but people are like, oh, Smoker's going to be Luffy's Garp. I'm like, Smoker's fucking washed. Get out of here.
Past. It's
He
past that
Reveres
point.
Luffy.
Yeah.
He's like, oh man, he's crazy. Oh, he smiled in the face of death. Nah,
I bet you Garp, you know,
cold.
I bet you Garp kind of looked at, you know, Roger with the same, you know, or a similar level of admiration or adoration.
I would say the level of admiration that like Kobe has for Luffy.
Yeah, for sure. Kobe definitely.
It's
makes
finna
a
be
lot more
Kobe!
sense. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with you there. I just still love Smoker, even though his character kind of got hoed and shafted and kind of like put in the background after like so much setup. Like whatever, you never know what Oda has in store for him.
Motherfuckers gonna respect Kobe when he pull up on panel with Boa over the shoulder. You know what I'm saying?
Not over the shit. No.
Collected her.
No.
Collected her.
No.
I'm gonna get flamed.
Absolutely not.
In the comments for
If
this,
anything, he'll pull up with her after a conversation because they both like Luffy and they're like, you know, side by side in some kind of way, even though that would kind of jeopardize Kobe's situation. You never fucking know, but he's definitely not pulling up with her collected. Absolutely not. Get the fuck get the fuck out of here. No.
Fuck is you talking about?
Yeah.
Yo, he fucking dealt with Law in the Rocky Port incident. Don't sleep on my
Law's not Boa. You're out of your
saying?
goddamn mind.
Law?
No. We're not doing this right now, dude. I'm sorry.
I don't know, man. A lot of people praise Law's ability to.
Dude, Law's really cold. Law's really
regard him
strong.
as somebody that is like very, very hard, near impossible to beat. So.
Yeah, he's super strong, man, and he's a great character, and I love Law, but like I don't know, I just want to believe Boa is just like on a level above Law for some reason.
Boa, I mean,
it just feels better to me.
In the chapter where they were going after him, like it was highly hinted at, like we're not to be slept on. Like all the warlords were like, yeah, let's fucking go. I still go back to that Mihawk. Like I think back to that Mihawk panel where he's like, it's been a while since I've been the one who has hunted.
Boa had the hardest dialogue. She was like, time to show them why they hired us in the first place, or something like that. Like that was so cool.
He was like, she did say like, oh, they forget the reason why they hired us in the first place. He was like, they forgot the reason. Like she was like, we're pirates, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, she's like, we're strong as fuck. Like y'all forgot like why you gave us pardons, basically, or something. Like it
collected her.
No.
All right, let's get into the chapter. Chapter 1033. We start off.
Chat.
That's fucking funny as fuck. I don't know, man. So one of y'all lead us into the chapter, man.
Okay, sure. All right, so we back. It's a Zoro chapter outside the dome. Zoro versus King. Enma's going crazy, sucking the hockey out of my man's.
Yeah.
And and
big
that's what he's kind of dealing with here. Got the big suck, but he said, "You want to know what? We're still fighting." King pulled up and then just stopped. Didn't attack, just came into Zoro's range and was like, hit me. And then Zoro was like, you serious, bro? Shink tries to stab him. And then, you know, he kind of blows up and sets him on fire. So
King is jacked.
More Lunarian shit.
Yeah.
Which, to me, is interesting. Because, like, I feel like his ability to survive everything seems to be conditional. Like, the Lunarians, like, if they're a species that were so resilient to any kind of environment, there has to be a weakness that was exploited when they were being taken out, right?
Correct.
Like,
because not just any old whoever is going to be able to take out a Lunarian if this is their like passive, you know, species trait, you know, or race trait. Yeah.
So I wonder, does he have to be completely immobile to endure?
Yeah, that would make sense.
Like when you play Super Smash Bros. And you do that counter fade stance, you're like, ha!
Yeah.
And then if you get hit, you're like, boom, explosion.
Yes.
I mean, be like, ching-pa!
Yeah, that's right. That'd be a cool little
counter be nasty, bro.
Yeah, that'd be a really cool. I mean, I don't know if we've seen King take any damage at all yet.
Yeah.
Right. So
that was last chapter too. Like
that's
they
a big
mentioned,
question.
it's like, man, because Zoro was like talking about like, oh yeah, no, I haven't seen it. He's not even sweating, and I'm fucking dying. Like,
yeah, that's wild.
And then Enma's just like, oh, you're showing weakness.
Yeah, like your will is faltering. What you talking about, bro?
Yeah.
You need a strong will to possess me.
I only liked you because you were hard-headed.
What do you guys think about the I don't know if you guys have seen anything like this online, but I saw it recently, the idea that Sanji has like Lunarian relation to some degree.
I like that. I think I heard that early on.
Or like Diablo Jamba and shit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that early on as soon as it was kind of like confirmed that King was that Lunarian and he had the fire. Sanji obviously has the fire. Like that was when theories were starting to be speculated and stuff like that, and I do like that.
But then I wonder how that goes into the Germa experiment situation inside of like his durability and like newfound area of his capabilities that was kind of unlocked in the last couple of chapters.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
Judge could have like reverse engineered and utilized this durability we're seeing from King here in the exoskeletons, or who knows? Like he's a mad scientist, basically, like genetic splicing motherfucker.
Yeah.
He took clearly a bunch of probably a shit ton of species and their attributes to make his kids.
Yeah, that's a good.
Oh man, that's
point.
wild because like
I would think, go ahead.
Who did the cybernetics for King and Queen? Who did the enhancements?
Queen is the one. King has no cybernetic stuff. Queen is
King is just Lunarian, and I think is just all
I thought he had like a robot arm where he extended.
No, no.
No, it's just his Lunarian stretchiness.
I don't think
No,
it's
the stretchy
Lunarian. I
face
think it's just the
thing,
perspective that Oda
that's
chooses to
comedy
draw him
bullshit.
in.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about that. Yeah,
The
that's like,
stretchy face, that's
yeah.
that's comedy. That's Oda comedy. That's like when fucking Queen shot the snake out of his own body and was like,
Left his legs.
this is how all Brachiosaurus behaved in the past. And
Yeah.
Sanji's like, you're fucking stupid. No.
Yeah. And you can also go dinosaur, lizard, stretchy skin. Like, you don't got to suspend too much disbelief there as far as like the stretching of like a, you know, a fucking, like he goes into a dinosauristic form. I don't even know if that's
It's definitely he does that, and he's like, oh, this is how all pterodons in the past hunted their prey.
Right.
After
I'm not saying it's not comedy, but I'm just saying on the physical side of things, you know what I mean? Like a fucking like lizard body stretching isn't that crazy. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
But yeah. No,
So he hits him with the Imperial stake, and then like knocks the swords out of his hands.
Yeah, it looks like it. Looks like
moment.
he barely dodges like a fatal blow, which grazes him enough to like make him like lose grip on his swords, because it looks like it still did a significant amount of damage despite that, kind of like grazing him.
The paneling
Page 7,
was kind of like a little confusing for me, because
Yeah.
we're like going back and forth between the flashbacks, and I feel like it doesn't really show that well that he loses them.
I can definitely see it for sure. That
Like on
he
the
drops.
bottom of page 8 now, like you can kind of see that he's not holding one of them.
Yeah,
He's
and
crawling
then
towards one in the next panel, but like where did
that's
the
Wado Ichimonji, and so
Right.
he at bottom of page 7 he grabs Kitetsu 3. As the
Sandai
little
Kitetsu.
flashback.
I've never seen this translation for Sandai
Kitetsu
Kitetsu
3.
in Viz, and just like reading Kitetsu 3 was just like, dude,
That
really,
was so
fuck you.
cringy.
Yeah, like fuck you. But and maybe that's always been a thing. I don't fucking know the last time that.
I said Kitetsu the third in my reaction. I'm like,
Lupin. Yeah, no.
Sensei.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like it because like, but it wonders like, does Enma have like a longer name that involves 2? Because if it's Kitetsu 3 or like San and then
Sandai
Wado
Kitetsu.
Ichimonji, so it's like 1, 2, 3. Like I was wondering if his swords were named after that kind of thing. Because Ichi means 1.
Shisui or Shusui. Shusui might have. No, I think Shusui translates to like clear
Shusui's
autumn water or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just wondering.
But like Enma though, like obviously we know like what that kind of like translates to. Yeah. So and then the only other sword that he had was like Yubashiri, and then I don't think there's a 2 in there anywhere. But he's gonna get Nidai Kitetsu, so definitely feel like Sandai is gonna break by the end of this arc, since like Nidai Kitetsu is in Wano right now, or is in Wano right now, and we've already gotten storytelling around it. Just makes sense that he would come out of an arc like this with some kind of addition to his arsenal, whether it's a newly forged blade for him for whatever reason at the end of the arc, or Sandai breaks and is replaced by Nidai, or both. You know what I mean? Whatever. But I think that in a conflict like this, after so much build up to a full power Zoro swordsman fight of this magnitude, that it's about time for one of these swords to break and be replaced with something stronger that's more befitting of World's Strongest Swordsman. Like, you don't want the 3rd edition of a series of swords. You know what I mean? Like, maybe like whatever, but it just makes more sense that the sword quality would just keep upgrading before the end of the series, and after an arc like this, it's just the perfect time for him to get an upgrade, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, it kind of makes sense because even like on like Shimotsuki on page 13 was just like, I'm giving to you. They're crap anyway. So like he doesn't even care about them, Like.
And I mean, I don't know. I like that theory because I always take it back to.
Well, no, hold on. These aren't the Kozaburo swords are not Sandai Kitetsu and
they're
shit.
nothing. No,
Yeah,
I'm
talking to Mello. So like Mello,
Okay.
I think said Kozaburo
getting
gave him
mixed up.
these swords, and he said they're shitty anyway. And I think he was saying that in response to what I was saying about like some of his swords breaking or him upgrading a couple of his swords eventually. And it's like, no, he's been lost these Kozaburo swords. Like they were shattered when he fucking fought Mihawk on the Bronze.
Yeah.
So,
those Kozaburo, those are fucko swords.
Yeah.
But I like I like the upgrading of the Katetsu,
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Because I still think that Buddy, Bald Celestial Dragon has Shodai
Shodai.
Katetsu
Yeah. Yeah.
because the hilt is exactly the same.
Yeah. It's just so massive.
Yeah.
Such a big sword. And I mean, like, Oda plays with scale and perspective, like, so crazily in his art that it's like, even though that sword has been shown gigantic every time we've seen it inside of the Gorosei scenes, like, if Zoro did get it, it would probably, once he owns it, just be the size it needs to be to make sense on his body. I don't fucking know. You never know with Oda, you know what I mean? But
I don't
like
know how big are the Gorosei though. Like, are they?
Dude,
are they
if you
massive?
look up
'Cause
Shodai
I think that
Katetsu
old
right now,
that old dude isn't.
like, that shit is big as fuck.
I like Kozaburo's design. I like that unibrowed motherfucker. He's got good lines.
Yeah, definitely.
Like the whole a sword's like a kitchen knife, but for murder. They're created to kill people.
Yeah, that was like the best part of like the flashback dialogue to me is like people just call them cursed because they're good at doing what they were made for. Like I was like, fuck yeah.
Fear sword and call it cursed. That is a badge of honor. It's a
Yes.
sign of quality.
Yes.
They should be frightening.
Yeah, they should think it's a curse because it's like this shit is made for fucking killing. You know what I mean? Like if you're weak and you're like not ready for this life, of course you're gonna be like, there's a demon living inside of that thing. I just watched it kill 90 people. It's like, nah, bro.
Yeah.
Like the motherfucker's just cold. Who uses this shit? You know, like there's no curse, there's no supernatural shit involved. Like,
Yeah.
that's so
Which-
cool.
Is cool, but it also is kind of a letdown in a way because it kind of just dispels a big kind of system of power we were hoping to maybe get delved into.
But it replaces it with, just advanced conquerors hockey and like, your will and combat spirit and fighting spirit and malice, like just manifesting in different ways for different people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if that was like a purely like, Kimetsu no Yaiba kind of like, I only see this manifestation for myself and like Ashura isn't actually visible to anybody else. And it's just like, a hockey related, power boost or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, and it was just imagery, then like whatever, you know what I mean? Because I know that a lot of people attributed Ashura to the curse of Sandai Katetsu to a certain degree. You know what I mean? So like I've seen people talk about it in that way, but until we actually get the definitive explanation on what Ashura is, it's like there's a lot of mystery, and whimsy inside of the hockey power system that would allow it to explain something like Ashura or something like, any of the other demonically boosted abilities we've seen Zoro kind of use over the years. So
Yeah.
Man, I liked this chapter so much.
Yeah. I love the Zoro backstory. This is something that I've been waiting on for a long time personally.
absolutely, we all have.
I knew we were gonna get it.
Yeah.
Especially, once we got the just meaning of the name of his village and like its basically impact or weight as far as the Wano plot line goes, and like we got the information on the ship, leaving Wano to go to that village and found it. I was like, all that in just culmination like made me more and more hyped for when we get Zoro's backstory and like to finally get a little bit more of it here.
Yeah.
Super fucking nice.
I feel like the continuation of this is going to be fucking mind-blowing, and I think it's going to like be related to the theories that Kuina and Tashigi are like the same person. Kuina never actually died. It was all a part of some kind of like clandestine switcheroo sleight of hand inside of, the Wano related characters in Shimotsuki Village, Shimotsuki Dojo, and Kuina was like because Kuina, like, how is she related to like all these? Like, she's like somebody's granddaughter or something, Koshiro's granddaughter or daughter or something like that. And like you never know, like with Oda, exactly what information he was withholding, from any kind of situation that we think we have an understanding for inside of One Piece. You know what I mean? So. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of ideas that I've seen, and I'm not saying that it's going to happen exactly like this, but like there's got to be a reason why Kuina and Tashigi, are linked in Zoro's mind to that degree. and just the sheer mystery related to his and Kuina's backstory and Tashigi's backstory, I think is like not a coincidence, and I think it's all going to converge into something that's like really like holy shit with so much foreshadowing and build up and backstory to it. They're gonna be able to weave Ryuma into this shit, you know, to some degree, and it's just all going to be like holy fuck, you know. And I'm just like so ready for that inside of Zoro's character, because it's like so on time for him, honestly. Like, people have been saying for the last couple of years that his character just has no depth, and he's just meathead sword slashy guy. So like, I feel like it'll just mean so much for his character to get this much depth in his backstory related to the lore of One Piece overall.
Yeah, you know I feel like maybe not so much for his character's depth, but like just the depth and weight of his character and like what kind of went on around him, and
right.
You know,
yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, I'm not saying we're gonna get like, you know, deep, nuanced, emotional character writing for Zoro, you know, on the level of Sanji or anything, just because of this information being tied together. I'm just saying, like, the depth of his character would come from how ingrained he is in the history and lore of the story. Yes. You know what I mean? Like, that would do a lot for him if he's not going to have the kind of emotional, you know, introspective character writing that like a Sanji would get. You know what I mean? I feel like that's a perfect balance for Zoro.
Yeah, a little bit of lore and stuff. I think it's really impressive that like the Shimotsuki village thing, how long has Oda been sitting on that? Like, that came out when I was like 14.
Yeah.
Okay, like I'm 31 now. He's been sitting on this
for a while, dog.
15 years, and I'm just like, damn, dude, way to play it close to the vest.
Yeah.
But like, that's great payoff, because I always see like a lot of the people saying like, oh, Zoro's like secretly the son of a refugee from Wano, and I'm like, maybe.
He looks just like Shimotsuki Ushimaru, dude. Yeah. So like, we got like that chapter
and Ryuma.
And he looks just like fucking Ryuma if you look at the monster one shot, you know what I mean? So like, there's just too much there visually, you know what I mean? On top of the fact that like, I don't know, this is all information that's given in the swordsman arc, you know what I mean? Like, there's just too much here for them to not, you know, connect those dots and make those links in the narrative. So, between those characters. So, like, I'm so ready for just like the bomb to be dropped on this entire thing. Like, yeah.
So you guys know the little red scabbard logo, right?
Yeah.
Page 11, when they're looking at the Shimotsuki dojo, does the crossed swords vaguely look like that?
Just like missing the snake or whatever, or the...
Yeah, it's just missing the snake.
And the moon or like... whatever. I think there was like a moon related.
No, the Shimotsuki dojo actually had the Kozuki clan crest on the dojo.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right.
Oh, man.
That's back in the day, I remember that being a thing. Yeah,
that's really cool. I like that idea, because they're like, Odin failed. We can't rely on things, and they scattered to the winds. You know, they're just like, hey, we're gonna raise people outside of Orochi's
sphere
like
of influence. Yeah,
and like keep our family lines and ideologies and philosophies alive, and train kids to eventually take back Wano.
Wait a minute, didn't that dude bounce like 50 years ago or whatever? How long ago was the Odin shit? Wasn't it only like 20 years ago? This dude bounced like before Odin even like had an arc. This dude went to fucking East Blue or whatever, like before all this shit even happened. So
interesting.
Yeah. I could have sworn that's the timeline. I feel like because that's right, because Momonosuke only went in the future like 20 years.
Oh.
Yeah. So
interesting.
And they said this dude bounced like 50 years ago. Yeah.
Already had a break. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm just trying to make sense of the timeline for myself.
Yeah, for sure.
But like still on that page 11. And when he's talking about Tsunachi, his eyebrows make him look like a demon.
Where is this?
Bottom panel, bottom left panel of page 11.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
Tsunachi. It is a magic word that summons strength into your heart. I did a little research, and basically it's like a Japanese portmanteau that basically translate, like, it's a shortening of this phrase that is like, throw away your name and wits. It's basically go all out, forget who you are, your moment is now, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, his silhouette on the bottom left page of 11, just the shadow effect on it and the perspective and the angle does make it look like a samurai's, mempo. You know what I mean? Like they're like oni mask that they wear on top of their armor. Yeah. It totally kind of looks like he's wearing one of those. Kind of like what Hitetsu's wearing. Yeah, the sword crafter of because if you look up well, actually, now that I have the side-by-side, because Hitetsu is on that page in the middle panel above it, and he obviously has a very, drastic, I don't even know if you would even call that a mempo, but, like, he clearly has, like, a crazy mask on, with this wild-ass nose. Yeah, Tengu mask. There we go. That's what it is. Yeah. So never mind. But, yeah.
But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, for sure.
Whew.
What a chapter, though, man. Like, this is pretty heavy shit. I love the last little, like, exchange that we have with King and Zoro. And I heard, oh yeah, that's right. I saw somebody talking. Enma. And I just remembered what someone was talking about in regard to like why Zoro isn't really being shown to be all that effective against King even at this point in their fight. He hasn't done any damage to King besides the damage that he did to his mask, which wasn't actually any real damage that he did to King. So it's like if this is Zoro trying his hardest and employing all of these techniques, it's like what is going to be, the kind of damage that gets through. And someone brought up a really cool thought about how Zoro kind of hears the breath of things to cut through them or whatever, like going all the way to Alabasta, like when we got like the first kind of hints at him having like observation hockey and like other things that people have been talking about over the years in his fight with Dawes Bones, Mr. One. And like when he, finally did the Shishi Son and cut through Mr. One, it was because he found out how to cut through steel by like listening to it or like feeling its breath or something along those lines. And someone was talking about the fact that Zoro might not be able to deal any real damage to King because he doesn't know what he is. And Zoro was like questioning like what he's made of and like what kind of race he is or whatever a couple chapters ago while he was fighting him. And like I think that was when I first saw like the notion on the timeline as to why he wasn't being as effective. So with the new information confirming his Lunarian, heritage, I don't know, that could play into, when Zoro will eventually be able to like deal damage to him is essentially what I'm saying. And I'm not saying that this is something that I necessarily subscribe to. It was just something that I saw in analysis on the timeline and I was like, that's a pretty cool thing to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this entire last 2 pages of dialogue between King, Zoro, and Enma is just so fire. A sword is direct, or honest and direct, not wicked. Yes, it's true. It was my strength that was lacking. Does this mean this was so fire? Does this mean that even with so much hockey being drained away, Odin wielded you as though you were light as a feather, Enma? And like that, the art in that panel, the speech bubbles. Oh my god, dude, so fucking fire. So much Odin hype. Yes. So much Odin suck. Odin was the fucking GOAT, bro.
Not Odin suck.
And
Phrasing.
And then he fucking probably the biggest part of the chapter, like narrative wise, for Zoro's character in this chapter anyway, outside of the flashback, flexes this conqueror's hockey, knocks all the fucking peons out, bro. They're foaming at the mouth on the bottom of page 60.
Yeah, and it's not even represented.
On Israeli shit.
Yeah, it's not even represented like how it is for like Luffy either, where it shows the zoom in of the face and you get the crazy eye, or like, and like you see it for Shanks and shit too. Like it's like a very subtle, like everyone is passed out and bro is standing there in another zoomed out panel with just his fucking sword smoking with Conqueror's hockey. And it's like, that was just lightning so coming raw. Yeah, bro. Like, holy
King
shit.
Soka. I see. So you intend to be a king then. He's like, and he really didn't even know what he just did, I don't think.
No, I think that's a very poetic way of him saying, oh, so you're using Conqueror's hockey right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's what King is saying for sure, but I'm saying I don't know if Zoro really exactly knows.
Yeah, for sure.
Because he's just like, huh? Nani?
He's just like, what?
And,
yeah.
And he's like,
I
no,
don't know.
I just gotta
Maybe
be
he
the
does
world's
though, because
greatest
then he goes
swordsman.
right into the thinks about his promise to Luffy. That's right. I've got to keep a promise to my captain and my best friend Kuina.
Yeah, fire.
Or is Luffy also his best friend in this?
Either way, I think it works
I
totally
figured it was
fine. Yeah.
Either way, it works just as well.
Yeah, both works. I think it's interesting that he doesn't view himself as like a king of swordsmen. He's just like, no, there's no such thing as a king of swordsmen. I just want to be the best. Like,
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
But
bro.
I don't know. Did you guys have anything else for this chapter?
No, I think I'm good, bro. This was just what I needed.
Just what I needed. Yo. All right. Well, I think that'll do it for this chapter of One Piece and the final episode of this season of the Project Manga Podcast. Thank you so much for watching. If you did, be sure to slap a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more fire content week to week. Make sure you comment in the comment section down below. Let us know what you thought of this weekend jump. If we missed anything in the discussion, chop it up with us down there. As we said before, take a look in that description box down below where you can find links to any and all of our individual social media accounts such as Twitter, online communities like Discord, audio listening platforms to consume the podcast upon, as well as links to support the podcast like our online shop or our Patreon. And with all those words said, this will be another stupendous episode of the Project Manga Podcast wrapping up. I'm your host, Eagle.
Knox, see y'all in season 4.
and I'm Mela Yenis.
Sarabada.